Welcome. Find your most comfortable place. Let the weight of your body sink deeply into the surface below, releasing the tensions held in your shoulders, your jaw, and the subtle space behind your eyes. This story, The Empty Jar of the Sky, is a soft invitation to put down all that you have carried throughout the day, trusting that the dawn will find you refreshed. Long ago, nestled high in the green folds of the mountains, where the fog tasted of juniper and cool rain, lived an old master potter named Kohaku. Kohaku was renowned throughout the 7 valleys for his jars, not for their size, nor for their intricate glazes, but for their perfect emptiness. Kohaku lived a life of quiet simplicity. Each morning, he would prepare his clay, kneading it with the intention of patience and non-striving. His most ambitious project was a series of 12 majestic storage jars, intended to hold the year's harvest of grain for the nearby monastery. The monks had only one requirement: the jars must be perfectly complete before the first deep snows of winter. Kohaku accepted the task with the serene nod of a man who understood the relationship between time and effort. He worked steadily, his wheel turning with the slow, hypnotic rhythm of a breath. One day, as Kohaku was finishing the 10th jar, a wide, elegantly curved piece named the Listener, a frantic messenger arrived. The messenger, a young man named Ren, was breathless with worry. "Master Kohaku, the rains. They have begun far too early. Our crops are still in the field. We must gather them today, or the harvest will be lost." Kohaku paused, his hands hovering over the turning clay. He saw the genuine panic in Ren's eyes, felt the urgency of the situation, but he did not rush. He gently slowed the wheel, ran a thin wire through the base of the almost finished jar, and lifted it with exquisite care. "Ren," Kohaku said, his voice a low, steady rumble, "I will gladly help your community with the harvest. But tell me, how will an unfinished jar hold anything?" Ren looked at the jar, its rim still uneven, its base not yet fired. "It cannot hold the grain, Master. It is simply not ready." "Just so," Kohaku replied. "And your mind, Ren, is also unfinished. It is trying to hold the past, the anxiety of the ungathered grain, and the future, the fear of the lost harvest. In this moment, if you try to hold all these burdens, your mind, like this soft, unfired clay, will only collapse. It cannot hold the needed focus to gather the grain well." Kohaku then walked to the shelf where 2 jars stood. One, the giver, was already full of yesterday's drinking water. The other, the receiver, was empty and waiting. He picked up the giver. "This jar holds yesterday's water. If I try to pour today's water in as well, what happens?" "It overflows and is wasted," Ren answered softly. "Now, look at the receiver. It is perfectly empty. It waits. It is ready for whatever is to come, without judgment or resistance." "This is the nature of impermanence," Kohaku said, gently tracing a finger along the smooth curve of the empty jar. "All things, the rain, the harvest, your fear, and even this jar, are subject to change. Take a deep breath now. Let your mind become the empty jar. Allow it to release the water of your day, the conversations, the to-do list, the small worries, the lingering energy. The only thing that allows a jar to be useful," Kohaku continued, "is its acceptance of emptiness. It holds nothing until it is needed to hold something new. Tonight, your mind must become that empty jar. You cannot hold the tasks of tomorrow while you are trying to rest tonight. You cannot hold the regrets of yesterday while you are seeking present peace." Kohaku put on his wide straw hat, a silent signal that his work was done for the day. "We will go now and gather the harvest. The clay will wait. The firing will wait. All things will happen in their own time. He looked up at the sky, which was already beginning to weep its heavy, cool drops. Ren, see the sky. It is the most empty jar of all. It accepts the clouds, the rain, the sun, and the stars. None of these things stay, and yet the sky remains always full of space and silence. As you lie here, feel the silence in the room. This silence is the space that your mind needs to be useful again tomorrow. Let the thoughts of the day simply move on, like clouds passing across the sky. They are the contents, but you are the empty, infinite jar, the awareness that simply holds the space. With every exhale, imagine you are gently pouring out the old water. Release the need to fix, the need to plan, the need to hold on. You are the empty jar, ready to simply be. Rest now in this emptiness. Nothing is required of you tonight except the soft surrender to sleep. The clay will wait. The rain will pass. You are safe. You are at peace. The empty jar is the perfect jar. The breath of the stone carver settled deeper now. Feel the shift from the rushing energy of the day to the still, quiet expectancy of the night. In the first story, you learn to become the empty jar of the sky, releasing the contents of the day. Now, let us find the gentle, steady anchor that resides within that stillness, your own breath. Close your eyes and allow a slight smile to touch the corners of your lips, a secret smile of inner recognition, acknowledging that you are here, safe, and ready to rest. In the ancient red rock city of Nagarjuna, a place famed for its colossal temple carvings, lived a master stone carver named Jayan. Jayan was not famous for creating the largest statues, nor the most gold-leafed. He was known, instead, for his work on the simplest blocks of granite. He could take the hardest, most unyielding stone and coax from it a figure of such profound peace and delicate detail that simply gazing upon it brought a feeling of immediate calm. Jayan's most crucial project was the creation of a vast, sweeping mural that stretched across the main facade of the city's oldest shrine. The mural depicted the Jataka tales, the stories of the Buddha's previous lives, a tapestry of 1,000 intricate characters, animals, trees, and landscapes, each no bigger than a thumbnail. The work was so fine that the slightest slip of the chisel, the briefest flicker of distraction, could ruin hours of patient effort. The city's patron, a wealthy and impatient merchant, often came to observe Jayan. The merchant was perpetually anxious, his mind churning with trade deals, fluctuating markets, and the fear of losing his fortune. One afternoon, the merchant watched Jayan working on a tiny, detailed segment, the face of a compassionate bodhisattva, requiring the most precise, almost invisible strikes of his hammer and chisel. The merchant, unable to contain his restlessness, spoke. "Jayan, how do you manage such stillness? I watch you for an hour, and your hand does not shake, your brow does not furrow. Your focus is a fortress. My mind, on the other hand, is a marketplace, full of shouting, buying, and selling, even when I sit still." Jayan paused his work, but only after his current strike was complete. He laid his tools down carefully on a worn velvet cloth. "Sir," Jayan began, his voice as quiet as the dust motes settling in the afternoon sun. "It is not the fortress of focus that holds my mind steady. It is the thread of my breath that guides my hand." The merchant scoffed lightly. "Your breath? But we all breathe, Master Jayan. Does a restless man breathe differently than a carver?" "Indeed," Jayan nodded. "We all breathe, but we rarely notice that we breathe. When I began this work years ago, I was much like your mind, a marketplace. I rushed the carvings, fearing I would not finish in time. I worried about the quality, comparing my work to others. My hand would tremble, and the chisel would slip, leaving scars on the stone that I could never fully remove. Now, take a slow, gentle breath in. Feel the air as it enters your body. Do not change the breath, simply notice it. This is your first anchor. Jayan picked up a small, polished plain stone, a practice stone he kept nearby. The stone taught me a hard truth. When I focused only on the result, the perfectly carved image, my hand became tight, driven by desire. But when I focused on the process, the act of lifting the hammer, the contact of the steel tip on the stone, the soft, low tap, the result took care of itself, he demonstrated, striking the practice stone with a mesmerizing soft cadence. Tap, tap, tap. And what about the breath? The merchant asked, still skeptical. The breath, Jayan explained, is the most reliable part of the process. It is the metronome of presence. Before I lift the hammer, I breathe in fully, taking in the stillness of the studio. As I prepare for the strike, I hold the breath softly for a moment, and as the chisel connects with the stone, tap, I allow a slow, complete exhale. The exhale is the release. The moment of impact and the moment of release become one. He looked kindly at the merchant. The stone is hard, but my intention must be soft. The breath ensures the softness. If my breath is fast and shallow, my strike is jerky and anxious. If my breath is deep and slow, my strike is precise, effortless, and infused with sati, with mindful awareness. Follow Jayan's example now. Breathe in, gentle stillness. Hold lightly, quiet preparation. Breathe out, soft release. The merchant tried to follow Jayan's advice, taking a deliberate, somewhat forced breath. After a moment he frowned. But my mind is still jumping, master. I try to watch my breath, and a thought about a shipment of silk jumps in front of it. Then a memory of a harsh word I spoke. Then a worry about the weather. They are like busy insects around a single flower. Jayan smiled warmly. Ah, yes, the thoughts are not the enemy, sir. They are simply the way the mind is trained to behave. Think of your mind not as a fortress, but as a vast winding river. The thoughts are the debris floating on the surface, leaves, branches, perhaps a lost hat. They pass. He motioned toward his finished work. My focus is not on stopping the river. My focus is on the riverbank, the steady, silent ground that is always present, regardless of what floats by. The breath is that riverbank. When the thought about the silk arrives, simply notice it, without judgment, as if you are noting a cloud in the empty sky. Do not chase it. Do not engage it. And then, gently, firmly, bring your full attention back to the sensation of your breath, the cool air at your nostrils, the rising and falling of your chest, the soft sigh of the exhale. It is not a battle, sir. It is a returning. This is your practice now. Feel the comfort of your bed. If a thought arises, a plan, a memory, a worry, label it, thinking, and then let it float by. Return to the riverbank. Return to your breath. Jayan picked up his tools again, ready to resume his intricate work. Every time I bring my focus back to the breath, it is not a failure of concentration, but a success of sati, a tiny victory for presence. The work is not completed by 1,000 uninterrupted hours of focus, but by 1,000,000 tiny acts of returning. The merchant watched Jayan, and for the first time, he was not focusing on the carvings, but on the carver. He saw the subtle rhythm of the body, synchronized with the rhythmic tap-tap-tap of the work. He watched Jayan's shoulders soften with every exhale, He realized that Jayan was not only carving the stone, he was carving his own peace. "But tell me, Jayan," the merchant asked, his voice now quieter, "when do you truly rest your mind? When you are done carving for the day?" Jayan laughed, a soft, dry sound. "No, sir. I rest my mind with every strike. I rest my mind in every exhale. The peace is not waiting for me at the end of the project. The peace must be infused into every single tap. If I do not bring the peace to the work will never give me peace." He finished the tiny face of the Bodhisattva. The expression was one of profound, deep tranquility, born not from leisure, but from intense, non-striving focus. Now, you are the carver, and your own body is the stone. You are using the chisel of your awareness to sculpt your night into one of deep peace. Do not force your body to relax. Just notice the sensation of letting go. Bring your mind back to the breath. If your mind is too busy, whisper the simple words to yourself: in and out, rising and falling. Let the sound of your whispered focus be the soft, steady rhythm of Jayan's hammer. It is not aggressive. It is not demanding. It is simply present. The breath is always there, always available, always honest, anchoring you to the only moment that truly exists. The moment you fall asleep is not a destination you must fight to reach. It is a natural transition, like the soft settling of stone dust after the final strike. Continue to breathe, continue to return. You are creating the perfect conditions for rest, one mindful breath at a time. Let the inhale bring tranquility to your mind. Let the exhale release any final resistance in your body. The work of the day is done. The carving of this moment is the simple act of breathing. The gardener who loved weeds, find the familiar comfort of your position. Let your body grow heavier still, trusting the support beneath you completely. You have cleared the path by letting go of yesterday's burdens, and you have found your anchor in the stillness of your breath. Now, we turn to the vast, rich garden of your own heart and mind. Tonight, we will learn to tend it not with judgment, but with gentle, unconditional love. In a forgotten valley, far from the polished perfection of manicured temple grounds, lived a humble gardener named Pani. Pani was responsible for cultivating the healing herbs and simple vegetables for a small community of quiet meditators. Most gardeners in the surrounding regions prided themselves on their absolute control. Their rows were ruler straight, their soil was perfectly sterilized, and any unwanted plant, a weed, was ruthlessly, violently pulled and discarded. These gardeners worked with tension, constantly fighting against the spontaneous, wild abundance of nature. But Pani's garden was different. His plots were productive, his herbs were potent, and his vegetables were abundant. Yet his garden was far from neat. Along the edges of his tomato rows, wild mint sprung up. Clustered around the base of the sturdy cabbages, feathery plumes of Queen Anne's lace nodded gently in the breeze. And amidst the tender roots of ginger, tough, stubborn dandelions thrust their cheerful yellow heads. The other gardeners found Pani's methods scandalous. One day, the chief gardener from the grand nearby estate, a meticulous man named Vimal, came to Pani's valley, driven by curiosity and a measure of disdain. Vimal stood rigid by the fence, surveying the chaotic beauty. "Pani," he called out, his voice sharp with disapproval, "how can you achieve such a harvest? Your methods are sloppy. Look at these dandelions. They steal nutrients. They choke the crops. Your garden is a testament to indiscipline." Pani, who was kneeling, gently tending to a patch of vibrant blue lotus, looked up and smiled, a slow, peaceful smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. Vimal, my friend, Pani replied, dusting the rich, dark soil from his hands. You see indiscipline. I see karuna, compassion. Vimal threw his hands up. Compassion, for a weed. They are threats. They must be eradicated. They are what is wrong with the garden. Pani stood and walked slowly toward Vimal, inviting him to look closely at a patch where two strong tomato plants were thriving right beside a cluster of tough, broad-leafed plantain. Vimal, you spend half your energy fighting the weeds. I spend my energy feeding the soil. When the soil is rich, deep, and healthy, the plants, both the intended and the unexpected, are vigorous enough to coexist. I have learned to see the so-called weed not as a mistake, but as a teacher. Allow your mind to relax completely now. The soil of your mind is tired from fighting. Let go of the need to be perfect. Rest in the rich darkness of the present moment. Pani pointed to the plantain. The plantain is an intruder, yes, but its roots are long and deep. They break up the hard, compacted clay beneath the surface, allowing water to penetrate deeper for the tomato's own roots. It is doing silent, unseen work for the health of the entire plot. If I tear it out, the soil hardens, and the tomato suffers a deeper thirst. He then gestured to the dandelions. The dandelion is called a pest, but its roots pull essential minerals, calcium and iron, from deep in the earth, minerals that the shallow-rooted spinach cannot reach. When the dandelion dies, it releases these minerals back into the surface soil, enriching the very ground the spinach needs. Pani stepped back, opening his arms wide to encompass the entire bustling plot. The weed is simply a plant that we did not intend to be there. It is a sign of life, of strength, of the earth's unstoppable urge to grow. And if I am constantly at war with the dandelions, how can I truly appreciate the spinach? My heart will be tense, my hands will be tired, and my peace will be stolen. Karuna means to feel the suffering of others, and that must include the suffering we inflict upon ourselves, Pani said, his eyes softening. If you treat every spontaneous, unwanted part of your garden or your mind as an enemy to be destroyed, you will never find true rest. You will always be armed, always alert, waiting for the next intrusion. Think now of the weeds in your own mind that have popped up today. The moment of harsh self-criticism, the sudden flash of impatience, the nagging feeling of not being enough. Do you usually attack these weeds, trying to yank them out with force? If so, you only break the roots deeper and disturb the surrounding healthy parts of your peace. Pani knelt again, and with a small, curved knife, he scraped the soil around a cluster of vibrant mint, ensuring it wasn't choking the main plant. But he didn't uproot it. He simply managed it, accepting its presence. My job, Pani stated, is not to create a sterile, perfect garden. My job is to nourish a healthy ecosystem. The mind is exactly the same. Your weeds, your anxieties, your resentments, your feelings of guilt do not need to be destroyed. They need to be understood. Perhaps your impatience is like the plantain. It is trying to break up the hard ground of a difficult habit. Perhaps your worry is like the dandelion. It is bringing up essential minerals of deep care and responsibility from your subconscious that need to be seen and released. The practice is this: when a difficult thought arises, a weed, do not grab the mental trowel to attack it. Instead, lean in closely. Acknowledge its presence with the softest glance and ask, "What unseen work are you trying to do for me?" Vimal stood in silence, his sharp edges of judgment beginning to soften in the quiet, gentle atmosphere of Pani's garden. He realized the incredible tension he carried, the tension of perpetually fighting his own nature. Pani continued, his voice taking on the hypnotic rhythm of a low chant. The greatest rest comes when the internal war ends. Tonight, you are not trying to be a perfect sleeper. You are not trying to banish all thoughts. You are simply creating a nourishing environment. In this moment of transition to sleep, treat the garden of your mind with karuna. If a weed of worry pops up, simply breathe into it. Imagine the rich, dark soil of your awareness surrounding it. Give it space. Say silently, "I see you, little worry. You are part of my garden today, but you do not control the harvest of my sleep." Pani walked Vimal to the edge of the valley, just as the sun dipped behind the western peaks, casting long, soft shadows over the land. "Vimal, look at the night sky. When the moon is full, it is beautiful. But when the moon is waning, and even when the sky is thick with storm clouds, the sky remains the same vast, accepting space. It does not judge the clouds for being clouds. You are that vast space, Vimal. You are not the weeds, nor the spinach, nor the storm. You are the ground that holds it all. And the ground, when left in peace, always knows how to rest, how to heal, and how to yield its abundance." Vimal bowed deeply, no longer seeing a careless gardener, but a profound master of the heart. He left Pani's valley, and for the first time in years, he walked without the tension of perpetual vigilance. He walked with the understanding that even his own impatience was a simple plant, deserving of a gentle gaze. Rest now in the unconditional acceptance of your own nature. All parts of you, the strong and the struggling, the peaceful and the restless, are welcome here. The inner critic has no voice tonight. Let the soil of your awareness be soft, rich and deep. Rest, knowing that compassion for yourself is the most powerful nutrient for deep, rejuvenating sleep. The mirror in the dusty attic sink. Down even further now. Feel the deep, quiet darkness of the night settling around you like a protective blanket. You have prepared the way by practicing letting go, anchoring your awareness, and extending compassion to yourself. Now, we approach the deepest quietude of all, the gentle surrender of identity itself. As you lie here, allow the roles you played today, the worker, the parent, the friend, the planner, the worry bearer, to simply soften. They are like clothes you wore, and now it is time to set them aside for the night. In a small village built high on a plateau, where the air was thin and the stars seemed impossibly close, stood an ancient, tiered pagoda. This pagoda was known not for its residents, but for the forgotten space at its very top. A small, dusty attic room. In this attic, stored away for generations, was a single, immense, perfectly polished bronze mirror. It was not used for vanity, but for contemplation. It was said to be the mirror of pure reflection, though it had not been cleaned or used properly in nearly 100 years. The caretaker of the pagoda was an elderly woman named Surya, whose face was a map of soft lines and quiet smiles. Her sole disciple was a young, ambitious monk named Dasa. Dasa was diligently working through his studies, striving to become a great teacher. He practiced meditation with fierce concentration, always wanting to know, who is the one that sits? Who is the one that strives? Who is the one that achieves enlightenment? The concept of anatta, non-self, vexed him endlessly. One morning, Surya sent Dasa to the dusty attic. "Dasa," she instructed, "the mirror of pure reflection must be ready for the new moon ceremony. You must go and clean it until it shines with the light of 1,000 suns." Dasa eagerly climbed the winding dark stairs to the attic. When he opened the door, a thick, still cloud of dust greeted him. And there, Leaning against the far wall was the immense bronze mirror, utterly obscured by a century of grime. It was so dull and scratched that it looked less like a mirror and more like a slab of ancient, tarnished metal. "Impossible," Darsa murmured. He could see nothing of his reflection, only the thick brown crust of time. He set to work immediately, attacking the surface with a coarse cloth and harsh cleaning fluids. He scrubbed with all his might, driven by his desire to see his own image, the face of the future enlightened monk, staring back at him. He scrubbed for hours. His arms ached, his lungs burned from the dust, and his mind was filled with frustration. He was making little progress. The surface remained stubbornly dark, only showing streaks of mud where he had scrubbed. Finally, exhausted, Darsa slumped back against a dusty wooden chest and wept. "This mirror is useless. It holds nothing. It reflects nothing. It is just a piece of dead metal." Suddenly, the soft, patient voice of Surya spoke from the doorway. She had ascended the stairs without Darsa noticing. "Darsa, my dear boy, why are you attacking the reflection?" Darsa wiped his tear-streaked face. "I am not attacking the reflection, Master. I am attacking the dirt. I want to clean the mirror so it can show the truth." Surya walked over and knelt beside him. She picked up a small, fine-grained cloth and a tiny flask containing a clear, gentle oil. "And what truth do you expect to see, Darsa?" she asked softly. "My own truth. My true permanent self. If the mirror were clean, it would show me the I that is striving, the I that will eventually achieve nirvana." Surya began to apply the oil to a small patch of the mirror, working it gently, patiently, in slow circular motions. The oil didn't fight the dust. It dissolved it, lifting it gently from the bronze surface. "Darsa, the mirror has an important lesson for you about this I. When the mirror is perfectly clean, what does it hold?" Darsa frowned. "It holds the image of the world around it, the image of the ceiling, the door, the dust motes, and my face. And when you step away, Darsa, what happens to your face in the mirror?" "It vanishes," he admitted. "And when a bird flies by the window, does the mirror insist on keeping your face there? Does it fight to hold on to the image of the bird?" "No," Darsa whispered, watching as Surya's gentle movements began to reveal the shine underneath. "It simply reflects what is present, and then, immediately and without effort, it lets go of the image when the object moves." Surya smiled. "This is the deep, peaceful wisdom of anatta. You are seeking a permanent, fixed face in the mirror of your experience. But the mirror's true nature is its emptiness, its ability to hold any image without becoming that image. Settle into your own emptiness now. Let go of the need to be defined by the image you carry today. Your identity, yourself, is like the image in the mirror, Darsa. It is a brilliant, necessary reflection, but it is not a permanent thing. When you were praised today, the image of successful monk appeared. When you struggled with your practice, the image of frustrated student appeared. When you rest tonight, the image of sleeper appears. But look at the dust, Surya continued, pointing to the stubborn grime Darsa had fought. The dirt is your insistence on holding onto the images. The dust is the story you tell yourself about who you are. I am a failure. I am a hero. I am worried. I am tired. You attack the story, but the story is just dust, Darsa. The true work is not the violent scrubbing, but the gentle dissolution. You must soften your grip on the rolls, allowing the clear oil of awareness to lift the clinging dust of identity. Surya worked for a long time, meticulously and without hurry, until a patch of the bronze mirror began to truly gleam. The reflection was so clear that it looked like a hole opening into another identical attic. Darsa leaned in and saw his own face reflected perfectly. But now, his face was calm. He saw the dust motes floating around him, the rough wood of the ceiling, and the gentle hand of his master. "I see my reflection, Master," Darsa said quietly. "Yes, and now step back and watch it vanish," Surya instructed. Darsa obeyed, and the image of his face disappeared, replaced by the reflection of the empty space of the room. "The self that sleeps tonight is not the same self that woke this morning," Surya concluded. "The self that worried about your task has passed. The self that rests is a new self, a fresh compilation of awareness, feeling, energy, and form. Do not drag the heavy, dusty mirror of yesterday's identity into the pure stillness of tonight. As you lie in the quiet, feel your arms, your legs, your chest. Are you simply form and sensation? Are you the breath you noticed in the last story? Are you the clear awareness that holds all these things? The self is not a rock. It is a river. It is constantly flowing, constantly changing. Tonight, allow yourself the profound liberation of letting the river flow without needing to label its contents or dictate its direction." "Sleep, Darsa," Surya whispered, standing up and gazing into the gleaming, expansive mirror. "Sleep is the ultimate practice of anatta. You let go of all roles, all titles, all stories. You become the clean mirror, vast, clear, and perfectly ready to reflect the deep, dark peace of the void." The mirror was still, holding the reflection of the quiet, dusty room, perfectly empty of the young man's face, ready for the dark peace of the night. Dissolve the boundaries. Let the name, the tasks, the worries, and the roles simply drift away, like dust finally settling. You are pure, clean awareness, empty, and therefore perfectly receptive to deep, restorative sleep. The still pond of Vimalakirti allow the lessons of the previous stories to settle within you. The release of burdens, the anchor of breath, the embrace of compassion, and the dissolution of identity. All of these pathways converge here, in the quietude of the still pond of Vimalakirti. Let the deep sense of peace you have already cultivated carry you gently toward stillness. Take a soft, slow inhale, and on the exhale, imagine your entire being softening, sinking deeper into the supportive surface beneath you. The world of noise and striving is far away now. You are entering the realm of profound silence. Far to the east, nestled in a valley that was always draped in a soft, sound-muffling mist, was a hermitage. Its central feature was not a grand temple, but a perfectly circular, perpetually calm body of water known simply as the pond. This pond was named after Vimalakirti, the wise layperson, and it was said to hold the wisdom of his silent teaching. The water was so dark, deep, and still that it acted as a perfect mirror, reflecting the exact state of the sky above and the trees around its banks with flawless accuracy. The hermitage was home to a young, extremely verbose monk named Kalyana. Kalyana was brilliant. He had memorized every sutra, excelled at debate, and could explain the most complex Buddhist doctrines with eloquent, compelling rhetoric. His wisdom was never in doubt, yet his mind was never quiet. He worried constantly that he was not teaching enough, not speaking enough truth, and not filling the silence with enough useful information. He sought out the old, silent hermit who lived beside the pond, a woman known only as the listener. Kalyana approached the listener, who sat motionless on a stone, gazing into the still water. "Revered listener," Kalyana began, his voice rushing quickly, "I have a deep philosophical problem. I understand anicca and anatta. I know the Eightfold Path. But when I try to teach, or even when I try to meditate, the silence feels empty. It feels like a wasted opportunity. How can I fill the silence with the truth? Where is the wisdom in not speaking?" The listener remained utterly still, her gaze fixed on the water. Kalyana, uncomfortable with the lack of immediate response, continued, his voice gaining speed. "I worry that if I am silent, the essential teachings will be lost. I fear my mind is restless because I have not properly articulated all the truths I know. What words must I use to find stillness? What specific mantra, what teaching must I repeat to quiet the inner clamor?" He paused, breathless, and looked expectantly at the hermit. The only sound was the soft sigh of the mist moving through the nearby reeds. The listener slowly raised her hand and pointed to the pond. "Observe the water, Kalyana," her silent gesture communicated. Kalyana looked at the pond. The surface was an unbroken sheet of polished obsidian, perfectly mirroring the blue-grey hues of the misty sky. The listener then picked up a small, smooth pebble from the bank and tossed it gently into the exact center of the pond. Plink! A tiny sound, but immediately the mirror-like surface was broken. Ripples, concentric circles of disturbance, spread rapidly outward, distorting the reflection of the sky, the trees, and the listener herself. The listener turned her gaze back to Kalyana, her expression conveying a gentle question. Kalyana immediately understood the analogy. The pebble is a word, master, and the still water is the mind. The moment I speak, the stillness is broken. The thought is born, and the perfect reflection is lost in the ripples. But, Kalyana argued, defending his own restless nature, the truth must be spoken. The Buddha used words. The sutras are full of words. Are the words not necessary to remove the ignorance? The listener smiled, a tiny, private curl of the lips. She waited. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, the ripples began to subside. The water absorbed the energy of the disruption, returning it to perfect equilibrium. The distorted reflection began to sharpen, piece by piece, until the surface was once again a flawless, unbroken mirror. Feel the ripples in your own mind beginning to subside now. All the thoughts, the mental chatter, the anxieties of the day, they are the ripples from tiny pebbles tossed into your pond. Just watch them dissipate naturally. The listener turned her gaze toward the perfectly still water. Her silent attention seemed to encourage the stillness, not by force, but by pure acceptance. Kalyana, the listener finally spoke, her voice lower than the mist. The words are indeed necessary to point the way. They are like a finger pointing to the moon, but once the eye has seen the moon, what use is the finger? You are trying to quiet your mind by finding the perfect word to use, or the perfect thought to have. This is like throwing a second pebble into the pond to stop the ripples from the first. It only creates more disturbance. The goal is not to fill the silence with a better sound. The goal is to return to the nature of the water, which is stillness itself. The deepest wisdom of Vimalakirti's silence is that the ultimate truth of Dharma is beyond concept, beyond language, and beyond the reach of any description you can offer. When the mind is restless, when it chatters, it is searching for an answer outside of the present moment, trying to hold on to a description of reality. But reality, the still, clear, peaceful truth, is always here. Draw your awareness away from the words and into the vast space of your body now. There is a deep, quiet reservoir within you that is never touched by the day's noise. The listener explained further. The true rest, the deepest sleep, is found in the moment between the ripples. It is found in the soft, patient returning to the placid surface after the pebble has settled. You are not waiting for silence to happen to you. You are recognizing that the silence is your original nature. Kalyana sat down beside her, his shoulders dropping in surrender. He realized the vast energy he had wasted striving to articulate his way to peace. He was a master of words, but a novice in being. "How do I practice this, Master?" Kalyana finally asked, his voice now a quiet plea. "How do I stop throwing the pebbles?" The listener placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You practice not by stopping the thought, but by not engaging it. When the thought arises, ripples, do not rush to analyze it, follow it, or push it away. Simply watch the ripple spread, and then watch it dissolve back into the water's original stillness." She then closed her eyes, and her presence became so still that she seemed to merge with the mossy stone beneath her. Kalyana watched the pond. A fish jumped, creating a new small ripple, and a bird cried out overhead. But the essence of the pond remained undisturbed, always pulling back to equilibrium. Kalyana closed his own eyes. He listened to the soft, rhythmic sound of his own breathing, the anchor he had learned to recognize in the second story. He let the words of his thoughts arise. "I should have asked her about the eightfold path. I must write this lesson down." And he saw each one as a tiny ripple on the vast, dark surface of his mind. He did not scold himself. He did not judge the ripples. He simply allowed the inherent wisdom of the water's nature to take over. He allowed the karuna of the third story to embrace his restless mind. As the sun began to set, casting a deep copper glow over the valley, Kalyana felt a profound, liquid stillness wash over him. His body was heavy, his mind expansive, and the need to speak, to know, to strive, had completely vanished. You are there now. You are Kalyana, sitting by the still pond. Let your mind be the water, deep and dark and infinitely receptive. Let the need for answers and the pressure of knowing dissolve. Rest in the wisdom of silence. The truth that you are seeking is already reflected perfectly on the clear, unmoving surface of your awareness. Sleep is the ultimate silence, the profound moment when the water of the mind settles completely. Allow this moment to happen naturally. You are not seeking to fill the dark. You are resting as the dark, peaceful, and absolutely still. The gift of the fifth gate. Relax your focus on the breath, allowing it to become a natural background rhythm. Let your body dissolve into the soft, comforting darkness. We now approach a story about release, about setting down the things we clutch so tightly, the expectations, the plans, the desires that prevent us from truly resting. Tonight, you are invited to unlock the gift of the fifth gate. In a sprawling ancient city, known for its magnificent walls and its complex, layered customs, stood a monumental royal treasury. To enter the main vault, one had to pass through 4 massive bronze gates, each protected by an intricate lock. The guardian of the treasury was a solemn, highly respected master named Pavana. Pavana was famous not for his strength, but for his concentration. Every day, he would meticulously check the 4 locks on the 4 gates, ensuring that every piece of the vast, glittering wealth within was secured. His greatest attachment was the safety of this wealth. He worried ceaselessly about the keys, the hinges, and the possibility of thieves. One evening, A young, earnest apprentice named Soma came to Bhavana, visibly distressed. Soma had just received a difficult teaching from his master. "Master Bhavana," Soma asked, his voice tight with anxiety, "you teach me the principle of the Four Noble Truths, yet you yourself are constantly inspecting four massive, difficult gates. The first truth is suffering, dukkha, and you suffer from constant worry about the wealth. The second truth is the origin of suffering, samudaya, and the origin is your attachment to the security of these riches. The third truth is the cessation of suffering, nirodha, the path to peace. The fourth truth is the path to cessation, magga, the eightfold path. But tell me, Master, how can you practice the cessation of suffering when your entire life is devoted to guarding the source of your anxiety, this immense wealth?" Bhavana did not immediately answer. He led Soma past the four colossal gates. The gate of form, rupa, constructed of heavy, cold bronze. The gate of sensation, vedana, engraved with scenes of pleasure and pain, tempting the mind. The gate of perception, sanya, covered in intricate, confusing patterns designed to deceive the eye. There's the gate of mental formations, sankhara, inscribed with all the plans, intentions, and ideas of the king. These four gates, Bhavana said, running a tired hand over the cold metal of the last gate, represent the four great clinging aggregates of the self. We cling to our body, our feelings, our perceptions, and our intentions. And yes, Soma, you are correct. I worry constantly that one of these will fail, and the king's treasure, the very symbol of my life's purpose, will be lost. My fear is the key to my suffering. But I do not know how to stop clinging, Soma protested. I too cling to my identity as a diligent apprentice. If I let that go, who will I be? Bhavana smiled sadly. That is the question that locks us away, Soma. We fear the emptiness of the empty jar and the stillness of the still pond. We mistake the guarding for the gift. Now, listen closely. This is the core teaching of letting go. Relax your jaw and your chest. You are not guarding anything tonight. Bhavana then walked past the four sealed gates and led Soma to a small, unassuming wooden door, hidden in a shadowed niche, so plain and simple, it was often mistaken for a utility closet. "This, Soma, is the fifth gate," Bhavana whispered. "I spend all day guarding the first four, yet it is only through this fifth gate that true rest is achieved." He gently pushed the door open. It did not have a lock. Inside was not more treasure, but a tiny, bare room containing only a worn cushion and a small, flickering butter lamp. The air was cool and silent. "What is this?" Soma asked, confused. "Where is the great secret of the treasury?" "The secret," Bhavana said, stepping into the small room, "is that the ultimate treasure is not held. It is released. The wealth the king truly values is his peace of mind, knowing that even if the outer treasure is lost, the inner treasure, the understanding of impermanence, remains." He sat down on the cushion and gestured for Soma to sit opposite him. The soft, even light of the butter lamp filled the tiny space. The first truth, dukkha, suffering, is simply the reality that everything changes, and we fight it. We fight the cold gate of the body, the fleeting feelings of the second gate, the shifting perceptions of the third, and the anxious plans of the fourth. As you lie in the quiet, feel the small anxieties in your own body, the tension in your hands, the quickness of your heart. This is dukkha, the gentle, persistent ache of clinging. The second truth, samudaya, is the cause of the clinging, the thirsty desire, trishna, for things to be different than they are. I desire the wealth to be permanently safe. You desire your identity to be permanently fixed. Bhavana took a deep breath. The third truth, nirodha, cessation, is the realization that when you stop the clinging, the suffering stops. The gate opens not by force, but by letting go of the keys. And the fourth truth, he concluded, gazing into the butter lamp, is the practice of walking through the fifth gate, the gate of quiet understanding. It is the eightfold path, which in this moment is simply the practice of stopping the striving. He then shared a painful anecdote. Years ago, a terrible storm swept through the city. I spent the entire night shivering in the rain, pressing my body against the first bronze gate, fearing it would break. I was exhausted, terrified, and utterly miserable. In the morning, the gate was intact, but I was ruined. I had guarded the bronze, but I had destroyed my own peace. That day, an old monk found me weeping. He led me to this fifth gate, which I had forgotten was here. He said, "The gate you guard is meant to keep things in, but the gift of the fifth gate is that it allows you to let things out. Release your worry, release your fear, release the need to be the perfect guardian." In this moment before sleep, what are the small worries you are still clinging to? The plan for tomorrow's meeting, the expectation of a perfect sleep, the memory of an unhelpful comment. See these mental clinging aggregates as small keys, heavy and sharp in your hand. You do not need them tonight. They do not unlock rest. They lock you out of it. Bhavana took a single key from his belt, the master key to the four main gates, and slowly, deliberately, laid it down on the floor of the fifth gate room. The quiet clink was loud in the stillness. "Tonight, I will not guard the bronze," he declared. "I will rest in the cessation of striving. I have done my duty for the day. My attachment to the result must end now." He closed his eyes, allowing the soft light of the lamp to warm his face. His shoulders, perpetually tense from guarding, slowly dropped. The constant vigilance that had been his suffering dissolved into the calm certainty of this small, simple room. Follow his example now. Lay down your own keys on the invisible floor of your mind. Lay down the key of tomorrow's plan. Lay down the key of yesterday's regret. Lay down the key of future expectation. You are stepping through the fifth gate into the vast, simple space where no striving is needed. The suffering ceases not because the world changes, but because you change your relationship to it. Rest now in the deep truth of the third noble truth. The anxiety is simply the act of clinging. The peace is the act of letting go. You are free. Sleep is the gift you give yourself when you choose the fifth gate. The monk, the river, and the willow branch. Let the knowledge of the preceding stories settle like fine silt at the bottom of a pond. You are empty, present, compassionate, free of identity, and unbound by striving. Now we introduce the final, essential element of deep repose, equanimity. Allow your entire body and mind to find a posture of complete, effortless balance. Imagine you are standing at the bank of a slow, wide river. The water is deep and cool, and the current, though steady, is gentle. High in the foothills of the Himalayas, where the fast-flowing rivers begin their long journey to the sea, lived a small community dedicated to simplicity. Their most challenging, yet most enlightening task was maintaining a tiny, ancient shrine built perilously close to the raging white water of the Ganga River. The guardian of this shrine was a quiet, unassuming monk named Kuvera. Kuvera's face rarely registered surprise, excitement, or distress. He was known for his imperturbable calm, and the community sought him out whenever they were tossed about by the intense emotional currents of their lives. Kuvera had one constant, profound teacher, a vast, venerable willow tree that grew right on the riverbank, its long, supple branches trailing into the rushing water. One year, a young novice monk named Siddhartha arrived, full of enthusiasm, but plagued by emotional volatility. He would experience moments of soaring spiritual bliss, followed by periods of deep, self-critical despair. His mind was like the turbulent river itself. Siddhartha sought Kuvera, finding him sitting under the willow, calmly watching the churning water. "Master Kuvera," Siddhartha cried, his voice heavy with self-reproach, "I am failing. One day, I feel immense metta, loving kindness, and I believe I am close to peace. The next, a small irritation, a fly buzzing, a harsh word, plunges me into anger and doubt. My feelings are like the river. One moment high tide, the next, a treacherous low. How can I achieve upekkha? How can I hold my mind perfectly steady? I am trying to become a rigid, unmoving rock against this current, but the current always cracks me." Kuvera finally turned, his gaze serene. He pointed not to a rock, but to the willow branch dipping into the water. "Siddhartha, you seek to be the rock. Look at the rock over there, jutting into the main current. It fights the water. It suffers the full, violent force of the current's resistance. Over centuries, the river will eventually break it, or bypass it, leaving it scarred and worn. The rock believes its job is to resist the current. But observe the willow branch," Kuvera instructed. "It does not fight, it surrenders. The water rushes against it, but the branch is supple. It is strong, yes, but its strength is in its flexibility. When the water pulls it to the left, it moves left. When a wave pushes it up, it lifts. It is always connected to the deep root in the earth, but it meets the river's energy with softness. Feel the inherent flexibility in your own body now. Relax your muscles. Stop trying to hold yourself rigid. Let the current of gravity pull you gently down, surrendering your weight." Kuvera picked up a sturdy, dry twig that had fallen from a nearby oak. He threw it into the river. The twig, brittle and rigid, immediately became trapped in a small, violent eddy. It was tossed, tumbled, and eventually snagged on the rock, unable to move freely with the flow. "The rigid mind is the dry twig, Siddhartha," Kuvera explained. "When a strong feeling arises, anger, joy, sadness, if your mind is brittle, if you insist on a fixed, rigid state of perfect peace, you will be tossed and tumbled by the feeling. You will snag on the rock of resistance, and the energy will be wasted." He then pointed to the willow branch again. "The willow is supple. The water moves past it, not through it. It does not cling to the water's energy, nor does it rigidly hold to its own position. It simply yields. Upekkha, equanimity, is not about feeling nothing. It is about yielding to the feeling without losing your root. It is the deep, peaceful understanding that all internal and external events are like the current of the river. They are powerful, they are moving, they are temporary, and they are not personal. In your mind right now, notice any leftover emotion from the day. A small wave of worry, a lingering bubble of excitement. Do not push it away. Do not grasp it. Simply be the willow branch. Kuvera shared his own practice. When a thought of great joy arises, I see it as a high, fast wave lifting the branch. I enjoy the ride, but I do not cling to the crest, knowing the wave must pass. When a wave of dark despair or criticism arises, I see it as the water pulling the branch down deep. I feel the darkness, but I do not cling to the bottom, knowing the current must eventually release its pull. The practice is not resistance or reaction. The practice is gentle participation, allowing the energy to flow through without hardening or breaking. Your inner peace is not a fragile thing that must be guarded. It is a strong root that allows for immense, supple flexibility. Siddhartha sat in silence for a long time, watching the graceful dance of the willow branch with the river. He saw how the branch could withstand the immense power of the flow precisely because it allowed the flow to dictate its movement, never once forgetting its connection to the earth. He realized his striving for a fixed state of peace was itself the rigidity that led to his suffering. He was trying to force the river to stop when he should have been learning to flow with it. Kuvera stood up, gently touching the earth near the roots of the willow. Tonight, Siddhartha, your practice is to be the rooted willow. The river of your mind is flowing toward the sea of sleep. There will be thoughts, small currents, strong eddies, but you do not need to fight them. Let your thoughts be like leaves floating by on the water. When a thought of regret floats past, the willow does not judge it. When a thought of tomorrow's plan floats past, the willow does not chase it. The branch is simply present, steady, and yielding. This is your final preparation for deep rest. Bring your attention to the center of your body, your core. This is your root. From this stable center, allow your awareness to become supple, like the branch. If a thought or feeling pulls you away, simply note its direction, and without judgment, gently bring your center back to stillness. The peace you seek is not the absence of the current. It is the perfect balance between resisting and reacting. It is the wisdom of upekkha. Kuvera gave Siddhartha one final teaching before leaving him in the quiet twilight. The deepest sleep is the moment you completely trust the river. You know that no matter how turbulent the waves of the mind are, the root is secure. You are not the river. You are the rooted, yielding awareness that embraces the flow. Rest now in the safety of your deep root. Let the current of your thoughts carry itself past you. You are balanced. You are safe. You are at peace. Meta's golden thread. Allow yourself to settle into the most profound state of ease you have found tonight. You have cultivated stillness, balance, and release. Now we introduce the most tender, luminous element of rest, loving kindness. Let your heart soften, release all sharpness, and prepare to weave Meta's golden thread into the fabric of your sleep. Take a deep, cleansing breath, and as you exhale, imagine a warm, gentle light blooming softly in the center of your chest. This is the light of pure, unconditional goodwill. High above the dust and clamor of the world, in a silent monastery carved from rose-colored sandstone, lived a weaver known as Sunanda. Sunanda did not weave clothes or carpets. She wove light itself. Her masterpiece was the creation of a vast, intricate tapestry intended to wrap around the monastery's central stupa. The thread she used was unique. It was said to be spun from metta, or loving kindness, and it glowed with a soft, persistent warmth, the color of liquid gold. Sunanda had a young student named Akala, who was technically proficient but emotionally brittle. Akala was skilled at the mechanics of weaving, but he was constantly discouraged by his failures and harshly critical of his own work. He was also holding a deep, cold resentment toward an old rival weaver who had once publicly criticized his efforts. One evening, as the desert stars began to appear, Akala was struggling with a particularly delicate section of the tapestry. His threads kept tangling, and his knots were messy. He threw down his shuttle in frustration. "Master Sunanda, Akala exclaimed, his voice sharp with anger at himself. This golden thread is impossible. It is too fine, too delicate. It snags and breaks whenever I try to pull it tight. I am not good enough for this work. And it is all because of that arrogant critic Java, who filled my heart with doubt. Sunanda, who was calmly spinning new thread nearby, paused and looked at Akala with infinite gentleness. Akala, my dear boy, she said, her voice like warm honey. The meta thread is indeed the finest thread in the world, but you are trying to weave it with the hardness of your own heart. The thread must be pulled, yes, but if you pull it with tension, it will snap. If you pull it with force, it will tangle. The meta thread only flows smoothly when it is handled with the same gentleness that it is made of. Feel the gentle light in your chest now. Let this light extend down your arms and into your hands. Relax your hands, letting go of any desire to grasp or pull tightly. Sunanda picked up the tangled shuttle Akala had discarded. She did not immediately try to untangle the knot. Instead, she sat holding the thread lightly, running its golden warmth through her fingertips. The first lesson of metta, Sunanda taught, is that the kindness must begin with the weaver. You hold such harsh criticism for yourself. I am not good enough. I am failing. I am clumsy. This inner hardness is the first knot, Akala. And as long as your heart is a hard, tight fist against yourself, the thread will tangle. She began to very slowly, deliberately, and with immense patience, work on the knot. She did not see the knot as an enemy, but as a temporary concentration of energy. She coaxed the loops apart with soft, encouraging movements. When you feel the knot of self-criticism, do not pull tighter in shame. Instead, whisper these words to the part of yourself that is struggling. May you be safe. May you be well. May you be free from suffering. Akala watched, mesmerized as the dense, frustrated tangle began to yield to Sunanda's gentle touch. This is how the metta thread flows, Sunanda continued. It flows from the center, outward, first to the self. You must flood yourself with this warmth. You cannot give away a piece you do not possess. Direct your warm, golden light fully back to yourself now. Send the silent wish. May I be safe. May I be free from the struggles of the day. Sunanda then turned her attention to Akala's resentment toward his rival, Jarugwa. And what of Jarwuva, the critic? She asked softly. I hate him, Master. His words are the sharpest thorn in my heart. I wish I could cut him out of my life, out of my thoughts. Sunanda looked up at the vast, silent tapestry. Akala, look at the tapestry. Do you see how every thread, even the most insignificant brown and grey threads woven into the background, is necessary for the golden thread to show its true brilliance? Java is one of those background threads in the tapestry of your life. He represents difficulty. He represents the sharpness of disappointment. When you try to tear him out, you only damage the entire fabric, and you cut the golden thread of your own kindness. She paused, looking directly into Akala's eyes. The second lesson of metta is to extend this golden thread to those who are difficult. Java, too, is a weaver struggling with his own knots of ambition and insecurity. His criticism is not a permanent truth about you. It is a temporary, painful expression of his own knot. When the thought of Java arises, do not send him anger. Send him the golden thread. Send him the quiet wish. May you be safe. May you be well. May you find peace in your own heart. This is not for his benefit alone, Akala. This is to ensure that your own heart remains soft and open, ready for rest. Think now of any person, situation, or memory from the day that caused you friction or pain. Send the warm, golden light toward that source of discomfort. It is a simple, cleansing act of release. You are not condoning the action. You are simply refusing to hold the tension in your own heart. Sunanda explained the final, crucial stage for sleep. Once you have extended metta to yourself and to the difficult people, the thread then flows effortlessly to the neutral. This is the third stage. She pointed to the vast, empty night sky. The neutral is the entire world, the stars, the distant mountains, the strangers in the next village. The quiet benevolence should simply fill the space around you, like the gentle hum of the earth spinning in the dark. This universal kindness creates a sanctuary for sleep. When you rest, wrapped in this golden thread, you are not isolated. You are part of the vast, interconnected tapestry of life. You are embraced by the warmth you yourself have generated. Now, let the golden light expand from your chest, through your room, through your building, through your town, and out across the entire sleeping world. You are extending the silent, unconditional wish. May all beings be safe. May all beings be well. May all beings be free from suffering. As the evening deepened, the knot in the golden thread finally came undone under Sunanda's light, persistent touch. She handed the shuttle back to Akala. His hands, now softened by the quiet warmth of the exercise, were ready. Akala began to weave again. He no longer pulled the thread tight with ambition. He laid it gently, patiently, weaving the light with the soft rhythm of his breath. The tapestry grew under his hands, and the light he wove was not dazzling or harsh, but deep, sustained, and comforting. He felt the heavy cloak of his own self-criticism slide away. He felt the sharp point of resentment toward Jadva simply dull and disappear. His mind, once a battlefield, was now a warm, open field of stars. Rest now in this universal protective warmth. Tonight, you are not judged, you are not striving, and you are not alone. You are wrapped in the soft, glowing comfort of Metta's golden thread, the purest expression of the sleeping heart. The peace you seek is simply the kindness you extend. The drummer who forgot the beat. You are surrounded by the golden thread of Metta, wrapped in warmth and goodwill. Now, allow your awareness to settle into the very core of balance, the middle way. Let your body find a state that is neither tense nor slack, neither striving nor resistant. Tonight, we listen for the deep, natural rhythm that carries everything toward rest. Inhale slowly, and with a soft exhale, release any lingering pressure to perform or achieve. Sleep is not a goal to be captured. It is a harmony to be rejoined. In the joyful, colorful valley of Sara, famed for its festivals, lived a renowned temple drummer named Raga. Raga was a master of percussion. His hands could coax any rhythm from his vast array of drums, from the softest, hypnotic tap to the thunderous crescendo that shook the very ground. Raga, however, had an intense, perfectionist nature. He was obsessed with finding the perfect beat, a complex, unique rhythm that, once mastered, he believed it would unlock permanent spiritual ecstasy. His search for the perfect beat led him down two exhausting, extreme paths. First, he pursued the path of tension and excess, hedonism. He would eat and drink to excess, practice his drums for 20 hours straight until his hands bled, and seek the most intense, overwhelming sounds he could create. He believed that sheer force and relentless pursuit would deliver the ultimate, ecstatic beat. This pursuit left him shattered. His drums were damaged, his hands were injured, and his music, though loud, was chaotic and aggressive. The more he forced the rhythm, the more the rhythm escaped him. He would collapse, exhausted, but his mind, agitated by the extremity, could not rest. Notice your own internal rhythm now. Has your day been too loud, too rushed, too focused on relentless effort? Allow the nervous tension to drain from your temples and your shoulders. Frustrated by his failure, Raga abandoned this path and swung violently to the other extreme, the path of austerity and denial, asceticism. He moved to a desolate, cold cave, barely ate, denied himself any rest, and tried to drum using only the smallest, faintest touch, seeking a rhythm of pure, silent minimalism. He stopped sleeping, believing that true enlightenment was only available through exhaustion and denial. His drumming became so weak that it was inaudible. His body grew frail. His mind, starved and depleted, became rigid and paranoid. His music was sterile, devoid of the vibrant life he once possessed. In his pursuit of absolute stillness, he lost all connection to the natural flow of life. One frigid morning, after days without sleep, Raga sat shivering, holding his drumsticks, but unable to make a sound. He had forgotten how to simply drum. He had lost the basic, inherent rhythm of his art and his life. An old, wandering hermit named Samyutta came upon the freezing Raga. Samyutta was thin, but not frail. He was peaceful, but not passive. He carried a small, beautifully crafted lute. "Raga, the great drummer," Samyutta said gently, seeing the exhaustion etched into the young man's face. "You look as if you have been fighting two wars, one of sound and one of silence. Tell me, what rhythm are you seeking?" Raga managed a weak whisper. "I seek the perfect beat, master. I first tried to find it through 1,000 strikes of force, but I failed. Then I tried to find it through complete stillness and self-denial, and I have lost my ability to strike at all." Samyutta sat down and began to tune his lute. He did not force the strings, nor did he leave them slack. He turned the tuning pegs with the precision of someone seeking the just right tension. "Look at this string, Raga," Samyutta instructed. "If I tighten it too much, seeking the highest possible note, what happens?" "It will snap," Raga replied automatically. "And the rhythm will be lost in a sudden, violent silence," Samyutta said. "This is the path of excessive striving, the tension of trying to force a perfect result. And if I leave the string too loose, avoiding all tension, what happens then? It makes a dull, flabby sound. It cannot hold a note. And the rhythm is lost in a feeble, meaningless sound," Samyutta finished. "This is the path of excessive passivity, the denial of necessary effort." Samyutta then plucked the string that was tuned perfectly. It resonated with a deep, clear, sustained note that seemed to fill the entire valley. The perfect beat, Raga, is not a sound you can force, nor a sound you can deny. It is the sound that emerges when the string is tuned to the middle way, the state of tension that is just right. It is a state of effortless effort. Feel the strings of your own body and mind now. Are they too tight from the day's work, or too slack from lack of presence? Allow them to be tuned to the just right tension, alert enough to notice your breath, but relaxed enough to surrender your weight. Samyutta explained how this applied to the drummer and to sleep. "Your mistake was thinking that the perfect beat was a permanent destination. It is not. It is the harmony that arises in the balance between the strike, effort, and the reverberation, release. You must strike the drum, but you must immediately allow the drum to speak its natural sound. If you try to hold the stick on the drum after the strike, you mute the sound. You deny the reverberation. The pursuit of sleep is the same, Raga. The strike is the gentle effort of mindfulness we practiced earlier, gently returning to the breath. The reverberation is the release, the allowing of the mind and body to accept the stillness. If you strike too hard, I must sleep now. I must stop thinking. You snap the string. You agitate the mind with force. If you strike too weakly, I don't care if I sleep. I'll just watch my thoughts all night. The string is too slack. You lose the rhythm of intention and drift into useless distraction. The middle way of sleep is the moment of perfect tuning, the gentle intention to rest, followed immediately by the profound release of the outcome. You do the necessary gentle effort, and then you trust the natural harmony of your body to respond. Find that balance now. You are not striving for sleep, and you are not passively waiting. You are simply tuned, ready, receptive, and at ease. Raga picked up his drumsticks. They felt heavy, but no longer foreign. He sat beside Samyuta, watching the hermit's gentle, balanced touch on the lute strings. Raga realized his obsession with the perfect beat had caused him to miss the simple beat, the inherent, peaceful pulse of his own life. The seed does not send its fragile shoot upward into the light until its root has had time to anchor itself deep in the hidden darkness. If you shine the lamp, or if you dig it up to check, you only interrupt the essential, unseen work. You are the seed now, Trishna. You have come to the darkest, quietest place. Your work, the work of the day, is done. Your healing must now begin in the unseen. Dhamma sat beside Trishna in the darkness. Your lack of trust, your Trishna, is the belief that your conscious effort is required for growth. The seed does not strive to bloom. It does not plan its root. It simply trusts the inherent wisdom of its own nature and the nourishment of the soil. It trusts the process it cannot see. When you try to dig up the seed of your rest, when you light the lamp of your worry, am I sleeping? Am I resting enough? Will I wake up tired? You are damaging the root. Release the trowel of your effort. Release the lamp of your anxiety. Your most profound healing, your cellular restoration, your memory consolidation, all the crucial work of deep, rejuvenating rest, is a phenomenon that is designed to happen when your conscious, controlling mind is absent. The only thing that is asked of you now is sadha, the quiet, unconditional confidence that the seed you planted today, your kind intentions, your effort in the light, is now being nourished by the darkness. Trishna admitted, "But Master, what if I simply cannot trust? What if the doubt is too strong? How do I force this sadha into my heart?" "You cannot force faith, Trishna," Dhamma replied softly, "but you can practice the conditions for faith. Look at the darkness around you. Do you see the stars?" "No," Trishna said. "It is too dark in here." Dhamma smiled. "The stars are always there, Trishna, even if the shed walls block your view. Your faith is the same. It is not something you create. It is something you uncover by removing the walls of your own doubt." She then pointed to the 4 stages of faith needed for rest, linking them to the process of the seed. Trust in the seed, self. You must trust your own potential. Trust that the wisdom that guides your heart to beat and your lungs to breathe also knows how to guide you to sleep. Trust in the soil, conditions. You have prepared the conditions tonight, the comfort, the stillness, the quiet. Trust that the soil of your environment is nourishing enough. Trust in the darkness, the unseen process. This is the hardest part. You must trust the time when you cannot see the result. The deepest transformation always happens out of sight. Rest happens when you are not looking for it. Trust in the bloom, the outcome. Trust that the dawn will bring the bloom. A rested mind a refreshed spirit. The outcome is not yours to control, but the seed's inherent wisdom is yours to trust. Let go of the last threads of control. You have done the work. The rest is simply allowing. Allow the darkness to wrap around the seed of your awareness. Dhamma concluded, her voice a low, steady lullaby in the darkness. Sleep is the ultimate leap of faith, Trishna. Every time you close your eyes, you surrender control. You let go of certainty, and you trust the darkness to do its perfect, unseen work. The anxiety you feel is the frantic energy of the lamp, trying to shine light on a process meant for darkness. Put the lamp down entirely. Trishna finally released her grip on the invisible trowel. She felt the thick, quiet darkness surround her, and for the first time, she did not fight it. She imagined her awareness sinking deep into the rich, dark soil, allowing its roots to anchor, trusting the path of the unseen bloom. Rest now in the confidence of Sada. You are being cared for, guided and restored by a wisdom far deeper and more vast than your conscious mind. Sleep, knowing that the most beautiful part of your journey is happening right now, in the stillness you cannot see. The 11th seed of awakening. You have arrived at the edge of sleep. All the gates have been passed, all the lessons absorbed. You are ready to experience the ultimate cessation, the profound peace that Buddhism calls nibbana, or unbinding, not as a mystical plane, but as the simple, complete release from all striving, all conflict, and all separation. Let your body surrender its last vestige of tension. Inhale deeply, and as you exhale, imagine you are letting go of the entire architecture of your day. High in a monastery that stood on the confluence of two great silent rivers, there was a sacred space known as the Chamber of the Great Mandala. This chamber was perfectly spherical and contained only one thing, a massive, intricate mandala, made not of paint or sand, but woven entirely from pure silence. The master of the chamber was an ancient, unnamed monk, known only as the Final Weaver. He spent his days in absolute stillness, embodying the concept of nibbana, the ultimate peace achieved not by gaining something, but by releasing everything. His final task was to train his successor, a monk named Asanga, who was brilliant, kind, and devoted, but still saw nibbana as a difficult, monumental achievement, a 10th gate that was almost impossible to unlock. "Master," Asanga pleaded one evening, sitting outside the chamber, "I have mastered the first 10 teachings. I understand that the self is empty. I have practiced yielding to change. I have even learned to trust the unseen growth. But nibbana, this ultimate cessation, feels unreachable. It feels like the biggest, most impossible thing of all. What final heroic effort must I make to achieve this profound, complete rest?" The Final Weaver remained silent for a long moment, simply gazing at the vast, star-strewn sky, the very empty jar. He finally spoke, his voice so soft it was almost a thought. "Asanga, you've been seeking nibbana by adding, by building, by striving. You see it as the 10th gate that requires a master key. I tell you the secret of this chamber, and the secret of rest. Nibbana is the 11th seed, the seed that is not planted." Asanga frowned. Not planted? But how can a seed that is not planted bloom? The weaver led Asanga into the chamber of the great mandala. The space was utterly still. The silence was so dense it seemed to press against the ears. The mandala was invisible, woven from the sheer, profound absence of sound, light, and motion. When you enter this space, Asanga, you are not asked to do anything. There are no rituals, no specific poses, no thoughts to cultivate. You are only asked to cease, to cease the thinking that you are incomplete, to cease the striving for a better state, to cease the belief that rest must be earned or fought for. This cessation, this unbinding, is Nibbana itself. Let your striving cease now. Let your work of the day cease. Let your need to control the outcome of this night cease. The weaver continued, walking slowly through the silent chamber. You have carried 10 heavy seeds in your pouch, Asanga. The seeds of focus, compassion, equanimity, trust, and so on. They were necessary to prepare the ground of your mind. But tonight, you must drop the entire pouch. The final teaching is that the deepest rest comes not from the successful planting of a final seed, but from the realization that the garden is already whole. The anxiety about sleep is the belief that you must achieve something to be whole. But wholeness, Nibbana, is the simple reality of this moment when nothing is lacking. He pointed to the center of the silent mandala. The silence you hear is not the absence of sound, but the fullness of all possibility. The darkness you feel is not the absence of light, but the fullness of rest. Feel the inherent perfection of your body's simple processes now. Your breath is moving effortlessly. Your heart is beating without command. Your weight is held without effort. Recall the 4 extremes of the drummer striving too hard, or being too slack. The perfect note, the middle way, is the point of complete balance, where the striving ceases and the sound simply is. Nibbana is that note. It is the perfect, sustained bum of existence when the striving for the next note, or the perfect note, has ceased. You are not waiting for silence to occur. You are resting as the fundamental, unmoving silence from which all sound arises. Asanga finally began to understand. He had been looking for a heroic climax, a final thunderous enlightenment. But his master was showing him that the truth was the simplest cessation of noise. So, master, Asanga whispered fearfully, if I simply stop, what will prevent my mind from racing away again? The weaver smiled, recalling the golden thread. Your metta will prevent it. The loving kindness you extended to all beings is the soft, protective blanket of this chamber. When you rest in the certainty that you are safe and loved, the need to race, to worry, to strive for protection simply dissolves. The only thing that needs to be done now is to unbind the last tiny knots of thought, like letting go of the keys you were guarding at the 5th gate. In this final moment, check your mind for any last tiny pieces of work, worry, or identity you are holding onto. Unbind the belief that you are the sleepless one. Unbind the need to solve tomorrow before it arrives. Unbind the need to rehash today before it is gone. The weaver placed his hand gently on Asanga's forehead. Sleep is the blessed state of complete unbinding. It is the body, mind, and spirit dissolving into the ocean of Nibbana for profound restoration. Do not be afraid of the dissolution of the self. The mirror may become totally dark, but the mirror itself, your pure, clear awareness, will remain, resting in its most fundamental, spacious state. He then led Asanga back to the doorway and spoke the final blessing, his voice carrying the deep resonance of the chamber's silence. Go now, Asanga. You are not going to achieve sleep. You are going to cease the obstacles to sleep. Rest in the knowledge that you are whole, complete, and perfectly free. The unbinding is not a goal. It is the natural consequence of letting go. You are free now. You are unbound. You are the perfect, final piece of the 11th seed of awakening. The journey is complete. The wisdom is deep. The rest is ready. Let the sound of my voice dissolve into the silence. Let your awareness dissolve into the stillness. Rest, deep rest, and unbind. Long ago, In a valley where snow sometimes fell upward, a monk named Chandaka walked 3 miles to the village every dawn with an empty begging bowl. He returned with whatever the day gave. Sometimes rice, sometimes only a smile, sometimes nothing at all. He never complained. He simply bowed until his forehead touched the earth and walked on. Then came the coldest winter anyone could remember. The passes closed, granaries emptied, doors stayed barred. Still, Chandaka walked. On the night of the fullest moon ever seen, when breath froze into crystal lotuses mid-air, he reached the village and found every shutter closed, every lamp dark. He stood alone in the square, snow swirling around his bare feet, and felt something vast and tender open inside his chest like a second heart. Slowly, he raised his empty bowl toward the moon. The moon, who had watched this monk for lifetimes, felt truly seen for the first time, not as ornament, but as food for a hungry heart. She slipped from the sky, shrank to the size of a silver coin, and rested gently in the bottom of the bowl. Suddenly, the bowl overflowed with living moonlight, cool, fragrant, nourishing. Chandaka bowed until tears froze into tiny pearls on his cheeks and began the long walk home. Wherever his feet touched snow, ice lotuses bloomed. Wherever moonlight spilled over the rim, warmth spread like spring returned. He entered the meditation hall where his brothers shivered in darkness and poured the moon from his bowl into every empty vessel on the altar. The hall filled with silver glow. The cold vanished. The monks opened their eyes and saw the moon resting in their own bowls, smiling shyly as though she had been invited home. From that night, the monastery never lacked light. Even on moonless nights, even in storms, every bowl gave off a gentle radiance enough to read sutras by, enough to warm hands, enough to remind every heart that true emptiness, offered with trust, is the only bowl the universe can never resist filling. When Chandaka died, the moon descended once more, rested on his heart until the flames rose, and carried him upward in silver smoke that formed a perfect circle in the sky for 7 days and 7 nights, guiding every lost traveler, comforting every grieving mother, whispering that someone once carried the moon in an empty bowl, and she is still waiting for anyone brave enough to walk with open hands. In a lake so clear that fish could see yesterday's dreams floating on the surface, a tiny silver fish named Nanda felt a longing bigger than her body. Every night she gazed into the blue-black depths and whispered, "I want to touch the bottom. I want to know what holds everything." The older fish laughed kindly. "This is only a lake, little one. Be content with light." But Nanda could not. One dawn she turned downward and began to swim. Down, down, past sunlight turning to memory, past warmth forgetting its name, past sound growing shy. The water pressed until her gills ached, her eyes wept pearls. Weeks passed. She grew thin, but never turned back. At last, her nose touched something vast and gentle. It was not stone. It was the palm of a sleeping Buddha, larger than mountains, lying smiling at the lake's secret heart. Nanda rested there, rising and falling with his slow breath, and understood there was never a bottom to reach, only this hand waiting to catch anyone brave enough to swim into not knowing. The Buddha opened one eye, a sliver of infinite kindness, and whispered without lips, "Little fish, you traveled so far only to discover you never left my palm." He breathed out. The breath became a warm current that carried Nanda back to the surface in one heartbeat. She broke into sunlight shining brighter than ever. From that day, whenever any fish felt afraid of the dark, Nanda released one glowing bubble that rose like a tiny moon, and every fish who followed it felt the vast palm beneath everything, holding even fear with tenderness. On quiet nights, if you sit by any lake and watch with a soft heart, you may see one silver bubble rise from nowhere, pause, and burst into gentle light. Nanda still keeping her promise that the bottom and the surface are only two ways the same love touches itself. High in a cloud that had forgotten how to cry, lived a raindrop named Metta, who trembled at the thought of letting go. All around her, billions of sisters joyfully fell, becoming rivers, oceans, lovers' tears. But Metta clung, whispering, "If I fall, I will lose myself." The cloud rumbled gently. "Dear one, you are already lost in me. Falling is only remembering." Metta could not believe. She clung until she became the largest drop the cloud had ever carried, heavy as a pearl full of storms. One day, the cloud drifted over a desert where a single dying Bodhi tree stood, leaves curled like fists of prayer. The tree sent one silent wish upward. If only one drop. Met heard. Something inside her cracked open like sunrise. She let go. Down, down, down. Singing, sparkling, no longer afraid, she struck the parched earth at the tree's roots. For one heartbeat, she was only a dark, wet spot. Then she spread, becoming moist earth, green shoots, an entire grove of Bodhi trees whose leaves rang like soft bells. The desert bloomed. Centuries later, travelers still find that sudden oasis and rest in shade that remembers the name of the raindrop who finally trusted falling more than holding. And whenever anyone anywhere begins to cry, they feel cool rain on their cheeks under clear sky, the gift of Metta, reminding us that even grief, fully allowed, becomes water for gardens waiting inside us. In a mountain village that had forgotten how to laugh, stood a stone medicine Buddha, ancient, cracked, missing one hand. Every few years the villagers tried to replace him with a perfect statue, but each new statue cracked within a month, as though the mountain refused false wholeness. Then came a winter of terrible sickness. A little girl named Sujata, whose mother lay dying, said, "The Buddha is broken because we are broken. Let us bring our brokenness to him." That night the village carried every sick person to the shrine and began confessing every hidden wound. Abandoned children, poisoned cups, stolen offerings, drowned infants. Each confession fell like a stone into deep water. With each telling, a crack in the statue sealed itself with quiet gold. By dawn, the medicine Buddha stood whole, every wound now a seam of living light. The fever broke. Children woke laughing. The villagers understood. Healing does not come from pretending we are unbroken, but from bringing our fragments into the presence of something unafraid of fragments. They never replace the statue again. Every year, they return with lanterns made of mended hearts and sit with their golden cracked Buddha until sunrise, telling new stories, sealing new cracks, remembering that wholeness is simply the courage to let light shine through every place we once hid. Deep in a canyon lived an echo who answered every shout perfectly. Climbers, lovers, shepherds came to hear their voices returned. The echo grew proud. One dawn a monk descended carrying only stillness. He sat at the bottom for 30 days without speaking. The echo waited, bored, hungry for sound. On the 31st day, the monk stood, cupped his hands, and released one perfectly soft breath. The echo caught it, held it, tried to throw it back, but the breath had no edges. It dissolved into the canyon walls. The echo panicked, alone with silence for the first time in centuries. Then it began to listen. Slowly it fell in love. From that day on, when anyone shouted, the echo answered only with deeper silence, until the shouter too fell quiet and discovered the love affair happening inside their own chest. The canyon became the most healing place on earth, not because it returned voices, but because it taught you to stop needing them returned. A single snowflake fell dreaming of the sea. All winter she covered mountains with her sisters, but every spring she melted into streams that flowed away without her. One night she asked the north wind, "Will I ever reach the ocean?" The wind laughed kindly. "You are already ocean wearing a costume of cold." She did not believe. Season after season she fell, always melting too soon. Finally, after 1,000 winters, she landed on the tongue of a meditating monk, high on a peak. She began to melt instantly. In that tiny moment before disappearing, she felt herself become water, warmth, blood, breath, vapor, cloud, and suddenly understood. She let go completely. She became rain over the sea. She touched salt. She dissolved. She laughed with joy so vast it became waves. Now when snow falls, children stick out their tongues, hoping to taste the snowflake who finally became ocean and returns every winter to remind every frozen thing that home is never far, only forgotten for a little while. In a cliff-top monastery stood a door no one could open. Generations pushed, pulled, chanted, meditated, nothing. Carved on it was one word, pull. It would not budge. One stormy night, a soaked nun knocked desperately. No answer. She sat shivering, began reciting the Heart Sutra. When she reached, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. She leaned her forehead against the door in exhaustion. The door swung inward, almost apologetically. Inside was the same storm, only now she was warm. She understood. The door had never kept the storm out. It had kept her out of the storm already inside her mind. From that night, whenever anyone approached in distress the door opened by itself the moment they stopped trying to escape the storm and simply allowed it to pass through them. The monastery became known as the place where doors open inward. Travelers say that if you stand before any closed door in the world and rest your forehead gently against it with a soft heart, you may feel it swing open into the same vast warmth that was always waiting on the other side of your own fear. A master and disciple walked a dusty road at dawn. The disciple noticed the master's shadow always walked 3 steps ahead. "Teacher, why does your shadow not follow like everyone else's?" The master smiled. "Because I've already arrived." The disciple did not understand. Years later, when the disciple had become a master, he walked the same road with his own student. The young monk asked the same question. The old master looked down and saw his shadow walking 3 steps behind. He laughed with joy. "Now I understand. When the heart is no longer in a hurry, even the shadow is allowed to rest." From that day, the 2 shadows walked side by side, sometimes ahead, sometimes behind, sometimes merging completely, teaching every traveler that the path is only long when we believe we are separate from where we are going. A boy on a hillside flew a red kite so high it vanished into a cloud. The string snapped. The boy cried. His grandfather said, "Watch." They waited. On the 7th day, the kite returned, flying in slow circles above their roof, perfectly steady, though no string held it. It stayed for the boy's entire life, following him through war and peace, childhood and old age. When the old man lay dying, the kite descended and rested on his chest like a gentle bird. He smiled, closed his eyes, and the kite rose, higher and higher, until it became a small red star that has never moved from its place. Pilots see it, lovers see it, Lost children see it and feel found. They call it the kite that learned the sky is safer than any hand. On the night the Buddha entered parinirvana, Ananda wept uncontrollably. The Buddha, eyes half closed, lifted one finger and touched Ananda's tears. "Friend," he whispered, voice softer than moth wings, "when I am gone, who will remind you to breathe?" Ananda sobbed harder. The Buddha smiled the smile that contains every sunrise that will ever be. He took one slow breath, in and out, and let that single breath rest in Ananda's open palm. Then he was gone. Ananda sat until morning holding nothing, yet feeling something warm and alive moving in his hand. Years later, when Ananda lay dying, he placed the same palm on each student's heart. The breath moved from heart to heart, never diminishing. 2,500 years have passed. The breath is still traveling, heart to heart, palm to palm, mother to child, stranger to stranger. Right now, it is moving through your chest, gentle, patient, waiting for you to notice that the last gift the Buddha ever gave was the one thing death could not take. Your own breath, already enlightened, already home, simply waiting for you to stop running long enough to feel it smile. In a valley where night lasted an entire year, a tiny clay lantern lived on the altar of a solitary hermitage. Every evening, the old hermit filled her with sesame oil, lit her cotton wick, and she burned bravely until dawn, believing her purpose was to fight the darkness. She was proud of her flame, proud of the small golden circle she guarded against the endless night. One winter, the hermit fell ill far down the mountain and could not return. Snow sealed the path. Day after day, the oil dwindled. On the 40th night, the last drop was gone. The wick blackened. The flame died. The lantern sat in total darkness for the first time in her life. Terror rose inside her hollow clay heart. "I am nothing without light," she wept silently. "I am only useful when I burn." The darkness, vast and fragrant with distant night-blooming jasmine, wrapped around her like the softest robe ever woven and spoke in a voice made of moth wings and starlight. "Little lantern," it whispered, "you have spent your whole life pushing me away. But I've never been your enemy. I am the womb that cradles every star before it learns to shine. Close your clay eyes and feel." The lantern had no eyes, yet somehow she closed them. She let go of every idea she had about herself, of every fear of being empty, of every pride in her flame. And in that letting go, something impossible began. A faint glow rose from the very center of her emptiness. Not from oil, not from wick, but from her own hollow heart. It was the color of warm honey mixed with moonlight, the color of a smile remembered in the womb, the color of the first light that ever existed before it had a name. The glow grew until it spilled out of the hermitage door, down the mountain path, across frozen rivers, into distant villages where children had forgotten what light looked like. Lost travelers who had wandered for months in the year-long night saw the gentle honey-colored glow and found their way to the altar. They sat beside the empty lantern and felt every knot of fear inside them untie itself, because something that had made perfect peace with darkness now radiated more light than 10,000 candles ever could. Spring finally came. The hermit fought his way back through melting snow and found the little lantern still glowing softly in perfect silence, brighter than on the day he first made her. He fell to his knees, pressed his forehead to the floor, and wept with joy. He never filled her with oil again. She had become the light that is born when even a clay. Heart stops being afraid of being empty. To this very night, In that valley where darkness once lasted a year, mothers teach their children to sit in complete darkness on the longest night and whisper to their own hearts, "I am not afraid of being empty." And somewhere deep in their chest, a gentle, honey-colored glow always answers, reminding them that the brightest flame is the one that has learned to burn backwards, from perfect emptiness into boundless, boundless light. Far in the north, there flowed a river, who sang only one note, low, endless, perfect, a note that was older than mountains and younger than dawn. Every creature for 100 leagues came to listen. Deer stood motionless on her banks for days. Birds forgot to fly. Even stones leaned closer, afraid to miss a single vibration. Then one bright spring, a young otter, full of curiosity and mischief, swam up and asked, "Beautiful river, why do you sing only one note? Don't you know hundreds of songs? Don't you know the happy splashing songs, the laughing songs, the songs that dance?" The river answered with her single note, softer than ever, almost shy, almost smiling. The otter laughed. One note is boring. With the help of beavers, crows, and clever foxes, he built dams of branches, stones, and mud, splitting the river into dozens of small streams that chattered, giggled, splashed, argued, shouted, whispered, sang 1,000 different songs all at once. For a whole year, the valley rang with noisy little songs, but no one came to listen anymore. The deer wandered away looking for silence. The birds flew south early. The stones grew bored and went back to sleep. The otter grew old. One night, he lay on the bank, ears full of shallow music, heart strangely empty. He dreamed of the old single note, deep as the first heartbeat of the world, wide as the sky before stars were born. He woke crying and began tearing down every dam with his tired paws, clawing at branches, rolling stones aside, begging the river to forgive him. Slowly, slowly, the river returned to herself. When the last branch floated away and the waters joined again, she gathered all her scattered voices, every giggle, every shout, every whisper she had ever been forced to become, and folded them gently into her one note. She sang it again, deeper now, richer, carrying within it every small song that had ever existed and every song that ever would. Every creature returned. The otter pressed his ear to the water and wept with joy so great it became part of the note forever. From that day on, whenever anyone asked why the river sang only one note, the old otter would answer, voice trembling with wonder, because one note that holds everything, every joy, every sorrow, every silence, every laughter, is greater than 1,000 notes that hold nothing but noise. And if you walk to that river tonight, lie very still on her bank, place your hand on a smooth stone, close your eyes, and listen with your whole body. You will feel it, the single low note that contains every lullaby the world will ever need, singing you, singing you, singing you, gently, endlessly, perfectly to sleep. In the ancient city of Vaishal, there lived a beggar so poor that his only possession was the small patch of sunlight that fell across his corner every morning. People passing by laughed. "Old man, you own nothing." He would smile the widest, gentlest smile you have ever seen and reply, "I possess the sun itself, and I give it away freely to everyone who walks past. Watch." One terrible winter, the sky stayed clouded for 40 days and 40 nights. No ray reached the city. People grew pale, hearts heavy, hope thin as paper. The beggar sat in his usual place, palms open on his knees, eyes closed, smiling as always. On the 41st morning, a single golden ray broke through the clouds, and rested exactly in his empty hands like a tame bird that had flown home after a long journey. He lifted his hands and offered the ray to a shivering child who had not felt warmth in weeks. The ray grew brighter. He offered it to an old woman coughing blood into the snow. Brighter still, he offered it to a soldier who had forgotten why he carried a sword. Brighter, brighter. By noon, he stood in the marketplace, giving away sunlight with both hands, and the entire city bathed in golden warmth, though the clouds had not parted anywhere else. People wept. Children laughed. Flowers that had frozen solid opened their petals in astonishment. The king sent soldiers to arrest him for witchcraft. When they seized his arms, the light vanished and winter returned colder than before. The people cried out in fear and despair. The king, wiser than his crown and heavier than his throne, ordered the soldiers to release the beggar and bow low, foreheads to the ground. The moment they did, the beggar opened his empty hands again, and sunlight poured forth like rivers of warm honey, like liquid mercy, filling every street, every heart, every shadowed corner until the city glowed from within, as though the sun had moved inside every person. From that day on, no one in Vaishal ever feared winter again, because they knew the beggar was still sitting on his corner, giving away the sun he did not own, teaching everyone, king and child alike, that the less you try to grasp, the more the universe is willing to flow through you without end. And sometimes, on the coldest mornings anywhere in the world, if you walk with open palms and a soft heart, you may feel a gentle warmth settle in your hands for no reason at all. The beggar's gift, still traveling the world after thousands of years, looking for the next person brave enough to give away what was never theirs to keep in the first place. High on the roof of the world lived a snow lion whose roar could shake avalanches from the highest peaks. Every creature trembled at the sound. Even the wind changed direction when he opened his mouth. One dawn he found a tiny mouse half frozen in the snow, stiff and still. Instead of eating it, something vast and tender moved in his fierce heart, something older than mountains, softer than dawn. He picked the mouse up gently in his teeth and carried it to his cave of ice and crystal. There he breathed warm breath over it again and again, until the mouse twitched, opened its eyes, and began to shake, not from cold, but from terror at the lion's face. The lion tried to roar, "Do not be afraid." But the roar only made the mouse tremble harder, curling into a tiny ball of fear. So the lion closed his great mouth and tried something he had never tried in 10,000 winters of roaring. He purred. At first, it was a rusty, awkward sound, like distant thunder embarrassed to be gentle, like an avalanche learning it could also be a lullaby. But he kept trying. All winter, he practiced purring while the mouse slept curled against the warm fur of his chest, rising and falling with the lion's breath. By spring, his purr had become the softest, deepest, most healing sound in the entire Himalaya. Animals traveled thousands of miles to lie near the cave and let the purr dissolve every knot of fear, every memory of violence, every ancient sorrow inside them. Anger melted like snow in sunlight. Grief softened like butter left by the fire. Even avalanches paused mid-fall, ashamed of their noise, and settled back into the mountain as gently as sleeping children. When the snow lion finally lay down to die, every creature of the mountains gathered in perfect silence. He purred one last time, a purr so vast it became the warm wind that still blows across Tibet, carrying cubs on its back, calming storms, reminding every fierce heart that even the most terrifying among us can learn the gentlest song, when love asks it softly enough, patiently enough, endlessly enough. And on the quietest nights, if you lie very still in high places or low places, city or desert, anywhere at all, you can still feel it moving through the air, through your chest, through the whole sleeping world. The snow lion's purr teaching everything that listens how to be both powerful and harmless at the very same moment. Long ago, a small girl on pilgrimage picked up a smooth river pebble and whispered to it with all the love in her child's heart, "Grow big, little stone, so that when I am old and my hair is white as moonlight, I can find you again and know I kept my promise to return." She pressed the pebble to her lips, to her forehead, to her heart, then gently placed it in a mountain spring and walked on, waving goodbye until the path turned. The pebble sank and rested on the bottom, smiling at the child's sweetness, treasuring her thumbprint still warm on its surface. Years passed, decades, centuries, millennia. Every drop of water that touched the pebble carried away one microscopic grain of earth and gifted it one microscopic grain of minerals in return. Slowly, invisibly, patiently, the pebble grew. First, it became a rock the size of a child's fist, then a boulder taller than a man, then a hill covered in wildflowers, then a mountain so tall that clouds used it as a walking stick and eagles built nests in its beard of pine trees and rhododendrons. One autumn day, an old woman with snow-white hair and eyes still bright as a child's climbed the mountain slowly, leaning on a bamboo staff carved with tiny lotuses. At the summit, she found a small shrine built long ago by unknown hands, tended by wind and prayer. Inside the shrine lay one perfectly smooth pebble, with the faint imprint of a child's thumb still visible on its surface, untouched by time. The old woman pressed the pebble to her lips, to her forehead, to her heart, and remembered everything, every step of the journey, every joy, every sorrow, every breath. She had kept her promise. She sat beneath the vast sky, placed the pebble in her palm, closed her eyes, smiled the widest smile the mountain had ever seen, and died peacefully, gently, completely. The mountain, which had been her childhood wish, kept alive by love for thousands of years, cradled her bones inside its heart and kept growing, rising higher every year, becoming one of the greatest peaks in the world, holding the sky the way a mother holds a sleeping child. Climbers who reach that summit at dawn sometimes hear very faintly the sound of a child laughing with delight and an old woman sighing with perfect contentment at the exact same moment, and they sit down and weep without knowing why, because they understand, without words, that even the smallest intention, held gently for an entire lifetime, watered only by love and trust and the patience of stone, can grow large enough to hold the sky, to hold every star, to hold every tired heart that ever looks up and needs to remember it is not alone. High above the world drifted a cloud who loved the earth so deeply that she made a solemn vow: "I will never rain on anyone who is already weeping." She watched battles where blood ran like rivers, funerals where mothers tore their hair, lovers parting at dusk with broken hearts, and she held every tear inside herself until her belly was heavy as mountains, dark as sorrow, vast as every grief ever felt. Centuries passed. She grew enormous, swollen with the unshed tears of the world. One summer, she drifted over a desert where nothing had grown for 1,000 years. Far below, a lone monk sat dying of thirst beneath a dead acacia tree, lips cracked, eyes closed, smiling the gentlest smile you have ever seen, as though he were greeting an old friend. he had been waiting to meet for lifetimes. The cloud looked down and saw no tears on his cheeks, only peace. She could hold back no longer. She let go. All the tears she had saved for thousands of years fell at once, soft, warm, endless, each drop carrying the sorrow of someone somewhere who had cried alone. The desert bloomed overnight into a garden of lotuses the size of wagon wheels, pink, white, gold, blue, every color of every heart that had ever broken and healed. The monk opened his eyes, drank from a single petal that held an ocean of mercy, bowed to the sky with palms together, and died peacefully beneath sudden shade, smiling still. The cloud, now empty and luminous, discovered she was no longer a cloud at all. She had become sky, clear, boundless, smiling. From that day forward, whenever anyone anywhere begins to cry, even under the clearest sky, they suddenly feel cool rain on their cheeks, gentle as forgiveness, and they look up to see nothing but blue smiling down, reminding them that even grief, when fully allowed, becomes the water that grows gardens in deserts we never knew were waiting inside us. Gardens where lotuses of compassion open forever. On a forgotten island stood an ancient bronze bell, cracked the day the last monk died 900 years ago. Vines grew through its wounds, birds nested in its mouth. Rain and wind sang through its crack, but never a true note. One full moon night, a shipwrecked nun washed ashore, soaked, shivering, half drowned. She climbed the broken steps, entered the ruined temple, and bowed low before the silent bell as though it were whole and perfect. Every day for 1,000 days she sat beneath it and chanted the Heart Sutra, though no one was there to hear, though the wind carried her voice away, though the sea answered only with waves. On the 1,000th night, when she reached the words, "Form is emptiness, emptiness is form," the bell rang once, deep, clear, perfect. A note that traveled across oceans and entered the dreams of grieving mothers, lonely sailors, children lost in forests, soldiers who had forgotten their own names. The nun wept without sound. She had not touched the bell. Every night after that, at the exact moment she whispered, "Gate, gate, Paragat, Parasamgat, Bodhisvaha," the bell rang by itself, a single note that wrapped the whole world in mercy for one heartbeat. Pilgrims began arriving from every shore. They sat in silence beneath the cracked bell, and it rang for each of them at the precise instant their heart finally understood that they had never been separate from the love they were seeking. Some heard it after one night, some after 100, some after an entire lifetime of sitting. The nun grew old and died beneath the bell, smiling, palms together. The pilgrims kept coming. The bell still rings, though no hand has touched it for over 1,000 years. If you sail to that island on a full moon night, sit very quietly with your palms open and your heart soft. You will hear it too, ringing exactly when you stop waiting for it, telling you in one perfect note that you were never abandoned, only listening in the wrong direction, and that love has been ringing inside your own chest all along, waiting for you to become quiet enough to hear. On the floor of the deepest ocean lived an ancient tortoise whose shell was said to hold the entire world on its back. Every tired creature, whale, octopus, seahorse, crab, came to rest upon him when the currents grew too strong. One day, a young crab asked, "Grandfather, aren't you weary of carrying everything?" The tortoise blinked slowly, eyes older than continents, and answered, "Child, I carried the world long before any of you climbed on. The difference is that now I notice." The crab felt sorry. That night he gathered every sea creature from the tiniest shrimp to the greatest whale and whispered, "Let us carry the tortoise for once, just once." They tried. Thousands of crabs, octopuses, fish, whales, dolphins, sharks, all pushed and pulled and lifted with all their might. The tortoise did not move. Finally, the smallest seahorse, no bigger than a child's finger, curled his tiny tail around one barnacle on the great shell and pulled with everything he had. The tortoise rose an inch, then another. Slowly, gently, miraculously, the entire ocean lifted the tortoise and carried him to the surface, where moonlight touched his shell for the first time in 10 million years. The tortoise opened his ancient eyes and wept with joy so great it became pearls that drifted down like soft rain. For one night the world rested while its creatures carried their carrier. At dawn, the tortoise sank back down, smiling wider than the horizon. From that day on, whenever any creature felt too heavy, whether on land or sea, they remembered the night the ocean carried the world, and they felt lighter, knowing that even the greatest burden becomes gentle when everyone, even the smallest seahorse, agrees to carry each other, even if only for one soft silver night. Sleep now, little tortoise. Tonight the whole ocean is rocking you in its arms, and you are allowed to rest. 9. The candle that burned upward, all night and downward all day for 30 years. In a cave lit by a single candle, a young monk asked his teacher, "Master, why does the flame always reach upward toward the sky?" The teacher said nothing, only smiled the smallest smile. That night the candle burned lower and lower until only a tiny stub remained, flickering, trembling, almost gone. The young monk fell asleep with a heavy heart. When he woke at dawn, the candle stood tall again, burning brightly, as though it had grown in the night. Every day after that, the candle burned downward with the sun, shrinking, shrinking, until it was almost nothing. And every night it burned upward, growing taller and brighter until morning, defying every law of fire. The young monk asked, voice trembling with wonder, "Master, how is this possible?" The teacher finally spoke. When the heart learns to give light without ever losing itself, even fire forgets which way is down and which way is up. It simply becomes light. The candle burned like that for 30 years, growing in darkness, giving itself away in light, never diminishing, never ending. On the night the teacher entered final peace, the flame rose straight up through the roof of the cave, through stone, through sky, and became a star that has never moved from its place above that mountain. The young monk, now old and grey, still sits beneath that star every night, telling its stories of the candle that learned to burn both ways. If you look up at the right moment on the clearest night, you can see it flickering gently, burning backwards and forwards at once, teaching every heart that watches that true light never diminishes by being given away. It only learns how to shine in every direction forever. Between two sal trees blooming out of season, white petals falling like soft snow that had forgotten how to be cold, the Buddha lay on his right side, head resting on his hand, perfectly at ease, perfectly ordinary, perfectly extraordinary. His disciples circled him, some weeping quietly, some sitting in perfect silence, some holding their breath as though the world might end if they let it out. Ananda, who had been attendant, bowl carrier, warrior, rememberer for so many years, wept uncontrollably. The Buddha, eyes already half closed, like calm lakes at dusk, lifted one finger and touched Ananda's tears. "Friend," he whispered, voice softer than moth wings brushing moonlight, When I am gone, who will remind you to breathe? Ananda sobbed harder, unable to speak. The Buddha smiled the smile that contains every sunrise that has ever been, and every sunrise that will ever be. He took one slow breath in and out, receiving the whole sorrow of the world, like a mother receiving her crying child, releasing the whole sorrow of the world transformed into peace, like a child releasing a healed butterfly. He did this 7 times. On the 7th exhale, the breath did not return. The sal trees showered him with petals that hung suspended in the air, like 1,000 soft blessings that had decided to stay forever. The earth trembled once, gently, like a child turning over in the deepest sleep. When the first ray of dawn touched the place where the body had been, the disciples saw only empty robes folded neatly as always, and one single white lotus resting where his heart had been, still warm. They understood. He had not died. He had become the space inside every breath where coming and going finally rest in each other's arms. From that moment until this very one, whenever any being anywhere, human, animal, God, or ghost, breathes with full awareness and love, the Buddha breathes with them. He is closer now than when he walked beneath the Bodhi tree. He is the gentle pause between your inhale and your exhale, smiling, waiting for you to notice that you never left his heart, and he never left yours. In a village that existed only in dreams and in the hearts of sleeping children, an old woman named Chandramati rose every single night carrying a broom made of softest bamboo and moonlight. She walked to the edge of the great lake where the moon's reflection lay scattered into 1 billion trembling pieces by the wind, by sorrow, by the restless dreams of the world. There she began to sweep, not the ground, but the water itself, with strokes so gentle they barely disturbed the surface, gathering every broken fragment of silver light back into one perfect circle. Children watching from their warm beds would whisper through their windows, "Grandmother Chandramati, why do you sweep the moon every night?" She never paused, never hurried. "So that tomorrow will find it whole," she answered, voice softer than moth wings brushing petals, softer than the first snow that forgets how to be cold, so that every broken heart will have something round and perfect to look up to when it needs to remember it is not alone. Years passed, decades. Her back grew bent like a crescent moon, her hair white as moonlight itself, her eyes deeper than any lake that ever held a reflection. One night, she did not come. The children, now grown, ran to her tiny hut of woven reeds and found her lying peacefully on her mat, broom folded across her chest like a beloved child, palms together, smiling the smile of someone who has just finished the most important work in the universe. They carried her body to the lake and laid her gently on the water, petals of jasmine floating around her. The moon, which had watched this woman for lifetimes, felt truly seen, truly loved, truly cared for, not as ornament, not as light, but as a living being who could be broken and needed mending. Slowly, slowly, the moon rose from the surface of the lake, gathered every silver thread the old woman had ever swept, wove them into a robe of pure light, and wrapped it around her. Then the moon lifted her upward, higher and higher, until she became part of its own face. From that night onward, whenever the moon is full and low over any water in the world, dreamers sometimes see the faint silhouette of an old woman with a broom walking slowly across its surface, sweeping, sweeping, gathering every scattered piece of every broken heart with infinite patience, with love that has no hurry, with tenderness that never ends. And children who wake from nightmares look up and instantly feel safe, because they know someone is still sweeping the moon, making certain that tomorrow's light will be whole, and that no heart, no matter how shattered into a billion trembling pieces, will ever be left out of the circle. In a village crushed by famine so long that even hope had withered, a farmer named Sudatta had only one handful of rice left in the entire house, 27 grains no more. A wandering monk knocked at his door at dusk, thin as winter bamboo, eyes gentle as dawn. Without a moment's hesitation, Sudatta poured every last grain into the monk's bowl. The monk looked into the empty pot, smiled the smallest, kindest smile, and poured the rice back. "Keep this," he said. "It will feed you and everyone you love forever. Only remember, never count it, never hoard it, never refuse a hungry mouth." Sudatta laughed sadly, thinking it a beautiful lie, but he placed the 27 grains in a small clay jar on the family altar and bowed. The next morning, he took exactly 1 grain, cooked it, and somehow that single grain swelled and multiplied until it filled every bowl in the house, fragrant, steaming, perfect. His children grew strong. His wife's cheeks filled out again. Neighbors came with empty bowls and left with full hearts. This went on for 60 years. When Sudatta lay dying, surrounded by grandchildren who had never known hunger, he called them close and showed them the clay jar. It was still full to the brim with exactly 27 grains. He smiled and whispered, voice soft as falling petals, "I have eaten the same rice every day of my life, and it has never diminished. This is what happens when something is given completely, without holding back even 1 grain of fear. It becomes inexhaustible." He died peacefully. The children kept the jar. Their children kept the jar. Their children's children keep it still, on an altar in a village where no one has ever gone hungry again. To this day, in that village, and in 1,000 others touched by the story, there stands a small clay jar that has never been empty, though generation after generation has eaten from it, though refugees have been fed, though entire armies of the broken-hearted have been given bowl after bowl after bowl. They call it the rice of perfect giving, and they say that if you ever offer your very last anything, your last coin, your last smile, your last moment of strength, with an open heart and no thought of return, the universe will keep that offering full forever, and you will never know hunger again, not of body, not of heart, not of soul, not even when the night feels longest and the bowl feels emptiest. The tallest mountain in the world grew very proud. "I am immovable," it boasted to the sky, to the rivers, to the wind. "Even time bows to me." One spring, a tiny nun with bare feet and a walking stick, made from a single bamboo flute, began to climb. She climbed for 90 days and 90 nights, singing softly under her breath, a song with no words, only breath and love. On the 91st morning, she reached the summit, snow swirling around her like white lotuses. The mountain prepared to impress her with its height, its silence, its ancient, unmoving majesty. The nun bowed, not to the mountain, but to the vast emptiness in front of the mountain, the emptiness that held the mountain, the emptiness that was actually far larger, far older, far gentler. Then she sat and began to play her flute. The melody was simple, endless, full of love for something the mountain could not see, something beyond even the sky. The mountain listened. For 7 days and 7 nights it listened, stone heart trembling. On the 7th night, it understood that the nun was playing to the emptiness that cradled everything, the emptiness that was the true mother of all mountains, all rivers, all beings. Tears of stone rolled down its granite cheeks, carving new valleys. Slowly, slowly, with a sound like the deepest sigh the world has ever heard, the tallest mountain in the world bowed until its proud peak touched the nun's feet. The nun stopped playing, smiled the softest smile, and walked down the bird mountain as easily as walking down a gentle hillside through wildflowers. From that day on, the mountain has remained slightly bent, an eternal bow to the emptiness that is greater than any height, greater than any pride, greater than any idea of being immovable. Climbers who reach the summit at dawn sometimes hear the faint sound of a bamboo flute coming from inside the stone itself, reminding every heart that true greatness is measured only by willingness to bow, to bend, to become a path for someone smaller, someone tired, someone who simply needs to get home. In the season when lotuses close forever and the veil between worlds grows thin, an old monk named Padaji lay dying on the bank of a wild river that had no bridge. His disciples had carried him for weeks through storm and flood, hoping to reach the great stupa on the far shore where the relics glowed softly day and night. But the waters raged and no boat would cross. The monk opened his eyes one last time, clear as sunrise on snow, and whispered, "Do not grieve, my ferry is coming." The disciples looked around. There was nothing but wind and rain and darkness. Then a single butterfly, wings the color of sunrise and half drowned, landed on the monk's chest. The disciples laughed through tears. "This is your ferry, teacher?" The butterfly opened its wings once, twice, 3 times, and began to grow. Larger, 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 until its wings spanned the entire river, shimmering with every color that has ever existed, and some that have not yet been dreamed. Colors of forgiveness, colors of childhood summers, colors of mothers' lullabies. Gently, carefully, with tenderness that made the storm itself grow quiet, the butterfly lifted the monk onto its back and rose, slow as a sigh, above the roaring water. The disciples watched, breathless, as the butterfly carried their teacher safely to the far shore, set him beneath the stupa, where lotuses opened out of season just for him, folded its vast wings, rested on his heart until the pyre was lit, then rose with the smoke and dissolved into light that became dawn. From that day forward, whenever a monk or nun or ordinary person of that lineage comes to die, no matter where in the world, the disciples no longer weep. They simply open the window, light one small butter lamp, and wait. And always, without fail, a butterfly arrives. Sometimes orange like sunrise, sometimes blue like dusk, sometimes white as moonlight on snow, sometimes every color at once. It grows until its wings fill the room, until the dying one can rest against softness no human arms could ever match. Then it carries them across whatever river waits between this breath and the next, across the dark water, across every fear, across every regret, straight into the open heart of love that has never closed, not even for a moment. No one knows where the butterflies come from. They only know that death, when met with trust and love, has the gentlest wings in all the worlds, wings wide enough to carry 10,000, 10 million, 10 billion souls, one at a time, forever. High above the world, a star named Tara looked down every night and saw a small child in a small village leave her window open, even in winter, even in storm, even when everyone else closed their shutters tight. The child would whisper to the dark, "If any star is cold tonight, my window is open. Come in and warm yourself." Years passed. The child grew. The window stayed open. One winter night, the coldest anyone could remember, the star could bear the distance no longer. She let go of the sky. She fell, down, down, down. A silver tear of pure light. She slipped through the open window and rested on the child's pillow, no larger than a dewdrop, glowing softly. The child, now a young woman, opened her eyes and smiled without fear. The star whispered, voice made of bells and lullabies, "I have come to warm myself, as you offered, every night, for all these years." The young woman lifted the star in her palm, carried her to the hearth, and placed her gently in the flames. The fire turned silver, the whole house filled with warmth that had no need of wood. From that night on, no one in the village ever knew cold again. The young woman lived a long life, and when she lay dying, the star returned, larger now, filling the entire room with silver light. She lifted the woman the way the woman had once lifted her, carried her upward through the roof, through clouds, through sky, and set her gently among the other stars. Now, when children anywhere leave their windows open and whisper, "If any star is cold tonight, come in." Sometimes, on the clearest nights, a small silver light slips through and rests on their pillow for a moment, just long enough to say thank you. In an ancient forest stood a Bodhi tree whose leaves never fell, not in autumn, not in storm, not even when other trees stood naked against winter. One leaf, older than centuries, hung on through drought and flood, through war and peace, growing heavier with every passing year. Travelers asked, "Why do you not let go?" The leaf answered, voice dry as paper yet gentle as rain, "I am waiting until every sorrow in the world has somewhere safe to land." Years became centuries. The leaf grew enormous, wide as a sail, veined with silver threads of every tear that had ever fallen. Birds nested in it. Lost children slept beneath it. Lovers carved their names and then erased them, ashamed. One autumn day, a young monk sat beneath the tree and began to cry, not for himself, but for every being who had ever suffered. His tears fell upward, drawn by the leaf's great kindness. When the last tear touched the leaf, something inside it sighed with relief. It let go. The leaf fell so slowly it took 49 days to reach the ground. As it fell, every sorrow that had ever clung to it transformed into golden light. Where it finally rested, a spring of clear water rose, warm as mercy, sweet as forgiveness. People came from every direction to drink. No one who drank from that spring ever knew sorrow again. The Bodhi tree still stands. New leaves grow. But if you visit on the anniversary of that falling, you can sometimes find one leaf hanging a little longer than the others, waiting, just in case there is still one sorrow somewhere that has nowhere safe to land. A monk walked for 30 years seeking perfect silence. He climbed the highest mountains, sat in the deepest caves, sealed his ears with wax, fasted until his body was light as wind. Still, thought chattered like monkeys. One evening, exhausted, he sat beneath a banyan tree and gave up. He opened his hands, opened his heart, and said aloud, "I surrender. Let silence come or not come. I am already home." In that moment, silence entered him so completely it became a living presence. It walked beside him when he resumed his journey. It sat with him at meals. It slept curled against his chest like a child. When he reached his home village after 30 years, people ran out to greet him. They asked 1,000 questions. The monk opened his mouth to answer, and silence spoke instead, soft, warm, endless. Every person who heard it fell quiet. Tears rolled down their cheeks. They understood everything without a word. From that day on, whenever anyone in the village felt lost, they went to the monk's small hut. They sat. Silence welcomed them. No one ever left unchanged. When the monk died, silence did not leave. It stayed in the village, moving from heart to heart. To this day, if you visit that place and sit very still, you can feel it. The same silence that followed the monk home, resting now in your own chest, waiting for you to stop running long enough to notice it has never left. Between two sal trees blooming white out of season, petals falling upward like soft snow learning how to fly, the Buddha lay on his right side, head resting on his hand, perfectly ordinary, perfectly extraordinary, perfectly at peace. His disciples circled him in silence and tears. Ananda asked through trembling lips, "Lord, when you are gone, how will we remember you?" The Buddha opened his eyes, deeper than space, kinder than every mother who ever lived. He said nothing with words. He simply breathed. Inhale, slow, complete, receiving every sorrow ever felt by every being in every world, every cry of every child, every sigh of every dying star, like a vast mother lifting the entire universe to her heart. Exhale, slow, complete, releasing every sorrow transformed into boundless peace, like a child opening its hand to free a sky full of healed butterflies. He did this 7 times. On the 7th exhale, the breath did not return to his body. Instead, it became wind. It became rain. It became the soft pause between every heartbeat of every being who would ever live. The sal trees showered him with petals that hung suspended in the air like 1,000 blessings that had decided to stay forever. The earth trembled once, gently, like a sleeping child turning over in the arms of its mother. When dawn came, the disciples found only empty robes folded neatly and one white lotus resting where his heart had been, still warm, still breathing. They understood. He had not died. He had become the space inside every breath where coming and going finally rest in each other's arms. From that moment until this very one, whenever any being anywhere breathes, with even a moment of awareness, of kindness, of love, the Buddha breathes with them. He is closer now than when he walked beneath the Bodhi tree. He is the gentle pause between your inhale and your exhale, smiling, waiting for you to notice that you never left his heart and he never left yours. So now, beloved, close your eyes. Inhale. Receive everything, the whole tired day, the whole tired life, the whole tired universe, exactly as it is. Exhale. Release everything with love exactly as it is. Again, slowly, and again, and again. There is nothing else to do. There never was. Good night, good night, good night, good night, good night. Every story has wrapped itself around you like the softest blanket ever woven from moonlight, from mercy, from the breath of the Buddha himself. The old woman is still sweeping the moon clean for you. The rice is filling every empty place inside you. The mountain has bowed so you can walk gently home. The butterfly is resting on your heart. The star is warming itself on your pillow. The leaf has finally fallen and become spring. Silence is curled against your chest. The Buddha is breathing you, breathing you, breathing you. Sleep, 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 sleep. You are already the vast, soft darkness you have been looking for all your life. And it has never stopped holding you, not even for one single breath. My wealth is whatever the moment offers. The smell of jasmine on this breeze, the sound of a child laughing behind me, the cool step under my bare feet, the moon that keeps coming back no matter how many times it is broken. He placed his empty palms on the merchant's chest. This heart you guard so fiercely, it is not a warehouse, it is a window. Open it, and the whole sky moves in. The merchant began to cry, not from grief, but from the sudden lightness of having nothing left to protect. That night he went home, opened every door and window of his mansion, and slept more deeply than he had since childhood. In the morning he found Sundara asleep under a neem tree, smiling in his dreams. The merchant quietly left his entire fortune at the beggar's feet, wrapped in saffron cloth. When Sundara woke, he laughed the way morning laughs at dew. He divided the gold among every beggar, widow, and stray dog in Varanasi, keeping only one small coin. With that coin, he bought a handful of marigolds and floated them on the river at sunset, watching them carry his thanks to the sea. From that day on, whenever anyone in the city felt poor, they would go sit beside Sundara on the ghats. He never gave them advice. He only pointed to whatever was freely given in that moment, the breeze, the light on the water, the cry of a kite overhead, and asked, "What is this?" And slowly, slowly, people began to remember that the richest person is the one who has stopped counting. 3. The tree that fell in love with its own shadow. On the edge of a forest that no map had ever dared to finish, there grew an ancient Bodhi tree named Maitreya. Its trunk was wide enough for 10 monks to sit inside its hollow. Its branches touched the sky the way fingers touch a lover's face after long absence. Every dawn, the sun rose behind it, casting the tree's shadow across an empty meadow. Every dusk, the moon rose in front, and the shadow stretched the other way, long and dark and faithful. The tree loved its shadow the way some people love their reflection, with a sweet, aching devotion. "Wherever I go," the tree whispered to the wind, "you follow. Whatever shape I take, you take the same. You are my silent companion, my dark twin." The shadow never answered, but it stayed. Years passed, centuries passed. Empires rose and crumbled in the time it took one leaf to fall. Then one spring, a terrible storm came. Lightning split the sky like a broken promise. Wind screamed through the forest like 1,000 grieving mothers. The great Bodhi tree, old and proud, could not withstand the storm's fury. With a sound like the earth cracking open its heart, the tree fell. It lay on its side across the meadow, roots reaching toward the sky like desperate arms, branches crushed beneath its own weight. For 3 days, the forest mourned. Birds refused to sing. Monkeys sat motionless in the remaining trees. Even the wind grew quiet out of respect. On the 4th morning, a young novice named Ananda came upon the fallen giant. He had been walking mindfully, counting his breaths, when he saw the tree lying like a sleeping Buddha made of wood. He sat beside the trunk and began to cry, not loudly, but the way rain cries when it has forgotten why it started. After a long time, he noticed something extraordinary. The shadow of the fallen tree was still standing, perfectly upright, perfectly whole, exactly as it had been when the tree was alive and tall. Ananda stared, tears drying on his cheeks. He understood. He placed his palms together and bowed to the shadow. Then he bowed to the fallen tree. Then he bowed to the space between them. That afternoon, he brought his teacher, an old nun named Kema, whose eyes had seen through 10,000 illusions. She looked at the shadow standing tall beside the ruined trunk and laughed the soft laugh of someone who has just remembered a very old joke. "Little brother," she said to Ananda, "do you see now? The shadow never needed the tree to stand. The tree only needed the shadow to remember it could fall." She sat beneath the standing shadow, back straight, palms open on her knees. Ananda sat beside her. Together, they meditated for 49 days while the fallen tree slowly returned to the earth, its wood softening, its leaves becoming soil, its heart becoming mushrooms and moss. On the 49th dawn, the shadow gently faded as the sun rose directly overhead. In its place grew a tiny Bodhi sapling, no taller than Ananda's knee, its first heart-shaped leaf trembling in the breeze. Kema placed her hand on the sapling's tender trunk. "This," she whispered, "is how enlightenment happens. First, the great tree falls. Then the shadow realizes it was never dependent. Then something new grows, smaller, humbler, but rooted in the truth that was always there." From that day on, pilgrims who found the meadow would see a young Bodhi tree growing beside the skeleton of an ancient one, and between them, on certain evenings, the faint outline of a shadow still standing upright, still smiling, still teaching anyone who looked that what falls is only the idea of standing, and what remains is the ground itself learning how to love again. High in the Himalayas, where the snow forgets to melt, there was a cave so quiet that even thoughts were afraid to enter. A single monk named Rahula had lived there for 12 years, speaking only to the mountain, eating only what the mountain offered, breathing only what the mountain allowed. Every dawn he would sit at the mouth of the cave and chant the Heart Sutra into the vast silence. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. His voice rolled down the valley, struck the opposite cliff, and returned moments later as a perfect echo. Year after year this happened. The monk spoke. The mountain answered. Then one winter the silence grew deeper than ever. Snow fell for 40 days without sound. The monk's voice grew hoarse. On the 41st morning, he opened his mouth to chant and nothing came out. He sat in perfect silence, listening. For the first time in 12 years, the mountain spoke first. Softly, so softly that avalanches paused to listen. The echo came without being called. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. The monk's eyes filled with tears that froze before they reached his cheeks. He understood. He had spent 12 years teaching the mountain to speak. The mountain had spent 12 years teaching him to listen. From that day on, Rahula never chanted again. He only listened. And every dawn, without fail, the mountain chanted for him, its voice deeper, clearer, more luminous than his had ever been. Pilgrims who climbed the dangerous path would find an old monk sitting motionless at the cave mouth, smiling as if he were hearing the most beautiful music in the world. They would ask, "Venerable sir, why do you not chant?" He would only point to the opposite cliff and whisper, "Shh, the mountain is practicing." If they stayed very still, they too would hear it. The entire Himalaya chanting the Heart Sutra in a voice made of wind, snow, and stone. Gone, gone, gone beyond, gone altogether beyond, awakening, fulfilled. Some pilgrims left enlightened, some left crying, all left lighter. And on the night you read this, if you listen very, very carefully, when the world finally grows quiet, You might hear it too, not from a mountain, but from the silence inside your own chest, chanting softly, without waiting for you to speak first. You are already home. You always were. Good night, good night, good night, good night. The lamp is breathing for you. The sky is begging for you. The shadow is standing for you. The mountain is chanting for you. All you have to do is nothing at all. Sleep, sleep, sleep.